TikTok, time to rock. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon to everyone who's watching from all over the world. It's your friendly neighborhood philosopher here, D. Wood. And with me now, I have a not-so-friendly philosopher, great rapper, Mike Jones. Mike Jones.
Who?
Mike Jones. Who? Mike
Who?
Jones. Jones got love for his fans till the day that he's gone. What? His album, Who's Mike Jones, coming soon. Yep. And we have the Apostate Prophet, the Apostate Pope, the Apostate Peterson, the Apostate Peterson,
Mahdi.
Apostate Mahdi, AM.
The most humble Mahdi.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Oh, good.
up?
I'm just reading a comment on your. You posted about your Andrew Wilson video, and then Christian Gadfly said because you call it nuclear antichrist, and Christian Gadfly says nuclear antichrist sounds like the cash grab sequel after the original and the Antichrist.
Oh, that does sound like that.
Nuclear antichrist.
Part 2, nuclear antichrist.
Beast.
Very base. So you guys familiar with this Jubilee thing?
Jubilee?
It's like the
yeah.
worst format for like any sort of like debates. Like you're in the center, you have limited time, and the people around are voting to get you out. It's like, how is this productive? I don't understand. This is just for views and clicks. It's sensationalism. I mean, anyone who really is interested in these topics, you're not going to get a lot from these Jubilee episodes. There's too much pressure on the people on the outside of the circle to say something within a limited time. You have your own people voting against you. I have no idea what the point of this is other than views.
Yeah, and I have to say, specifically with Jordan Peterson. Jordan Peterson, let's say, how would you say? Jordan Peterson has been thinking deeply about a lot of issues for a long time. So he's spent decades studying psychology and being a psychologist and teaching psychology and so on, thinking deeply. And then he applied all of this. He applied his psychological thinking to elements of religion and to the Bible and so on. Came away with some insights and so on. Wanted to share those insights with the world. Hasn't realized it kind of doesn't work in rapid fire argument settings. It's like with Dawkins. And here's what really sucks, man. Here's what really sucks. Jordan Peterson has really good intentions. It's like I'm seeing things on a non-superficial level, and lots of people are just thinking on a superficial level about whatever it is they're thinking about. I can get them. If I could just get them to think more deeply about these things, they'll start coming around and agreeing with me. So what I'll do is, this is when it really hit him. I'll get Richard Dawkins on there. Like Richard Dawkins, he's like 7,000 years old. So he's aggressive and stuff, but he's not young anymore, so he doesn't have that he's not in this rage stage anymore. I'll get Richard Dawkins on there, and I'll get him to see some things about symbols and this and that, and he'll come away with a deeper appreciation of religion. And then I thought it was it was kind of an interesting discussion, but what was interesting to me about the discussion with Dawkins was that it seemed like they were speaking two different languages. And
yeah.
What do you mean language?
Yeah, they're not making any progress. So it's not like any Dawkins fans were watching that going, "Whoa, I hadn't thought of it that way. And me, I'm reacting going, okay, if you're trying to get people who think very superficially on these things to think much deeper, that's not something you just do in a quick discussion. You got to be talking to them over a period of months or years or something like that to kind of get them to see a different way. So anyway, apparently at some point he thought, hey, well, it didn't work with Dawkins, eh? Maybe I didn't have my maple syrup that day. So let me just get a bunch of young rage stage atheists and I'll bring them around to my insights. And it's like, no, this is going to be worse. This is going to be worse because the format is worse. Everything is. If you have some ideas that need to be carefully communicated and which would take quite a bit of time, both for you to communicate and even significantly longer for people to grasp and understand. A setting where everything is in these little, 1 to 2 minutes vote out sessions and so on like that, rapid fire vote out sessions, is like the opposite of the format you would want for getting your ideas across. In other words, this kind of thing is a format specifically for only superficial, rapid fire points. You don't have time to make terribly deep points, let alone for people to understand them when they're like, if I don't jump all over this guy right now, then I'm getting voted out in 10 seconds.
Pretty much. That's what, and is from what I'm told from having friends who've gone on there, they can see the flags start to go up, and the more the flags go up, they start to panic and they start to interrupt more to jump in because they want to stay in there as long as possible. Yeah. By the way, just get ready for this to be copyrighted claim, David, because Jubilee is very, very bad for that. They are so mad when anyone comments or does a review of anything they put out, and they fight copyright stuff to the bitter end.
They don't take stuff down, right? They'll just claim it.
They'll just say you can't monetize it.
Oh, I'm fine. I'm fine with that because it is their stuff. It is petty because everything what we will do right now and what anyone else who's commenting on it is doing is fair use. So you're allowed to do that,
right? But they still fight it because they're douchebags.
Yeah, I'm not interested enough to fight it. So if they want to claim it, if they want to be petty, that's fine with me. On something
they will.
Oh yeah. Well then I'll go to war. Right. Where's my lawyer? Hey, where's my lawyer? Hey, Christian Gadfly. You ready to start handling all these things? I've told because Christian Gadfly's a lawyer. I've told Christian Gadfly he should just go into YouTube stuff and all the stuff that happens with us with YouTube and everything. He would have a long, long career. You hear me? You hear me, Christian Gadfly? I said it. Hey, actually, Christian Gadfly could just jump in here with us.
What do you mean by career?
What do you mean by career, eh?
Well, here's the bloody thing. Language is the precondition for thought, and definition are the scaffolding of that language. If you don't define your terms precisely, you don't even know what you're talking about. And worse, you don't even know what you're talking about. Rapid-fire discussions about definitions is what we are supposed to have. It's bloody necessary.
You like that, IP?
That's pretty accurate.
I've told AP like 500 times that like from all our early live streams and his videos and so on, it would never once ever have crossed my mind that he would be good at doing impressions of anyone. And yet he crushes them. It's awesome. Oh boy.
What do you mean by crush?
Now wait, are you IP going through more of this tomorrow?
Yeah, there's some. I wanted to go through the last section. I think on is Christianity the foundation of morality. You said you wanted to do the science part, so we could do that. But there's the last section. Well, not the last section, but like the last segment of Jordan Peterson's deciding the topic. There's some stuff I wanted to address in there. So tomorrow we're going to go through that with people who've been on Jubilee, who've like had to go through the undeniable stress of all that.
So that would be Than
and Tim and John, all three were on with Alex O'Connor a couple months ago.
How does Than not go by Thanos? Does he ever?
You know what?
Is that a nickname?
That's a good question. Why doesn't he go by Thanos? His real name is like Athenias, but he doesn't go by that. He goes by Than, boring name. Instead of Athenias or Thanos or Than the man, he's just Than. I don't get it.
You got to go by Thanos if your name is Than or any form there.
Seriously.
I mean, imagine if you're going to a debate and it's you versus Thanos, or you're doing you know what I mean?
Thanos, yeah.
Oh, hey, for some reason we have a bunch of someone's arguing about something. I guess I don't know, or something happened, or something's going on because there's a bunch of super chats here right at the beginning, which means people wanted to say something real quick.
What are they fighting about? Stop fighting people. It's ridiculous.
I don't know. Let's see. No, I don't know if they're fighting about it, or there's something happened or something like that, but everyone just posted a bunch of super chats real quick. Let's see. Andrew Limpri. AP, the channel is Andrew Limprist. He's opening a jar of olives for his picture. He says, sorry I'm late. I was busy benching 225 and I didn't hear the notification. Sorry. Andrew Limprist.
What's your problem with Andrew Wilson, man?
Yeah. Hey, in fact, I just want to say, I know everyone, it's funny because everyone's making fun of Andrew Wilson because he couldn't open a jar and he's supposed to be like manly man and stuff. The people who are making fun of him are doing so because they've been looking for something to attack him for. I just want to point out, every man on this planet has had situations where some woman said, hey, can you open this jar for me? And he opened it with ease. And then she thought he was cool. And every man on this planet has been in situations where, hey, can you open this jar for me? And, well, sure I can, honey. Something wrong here. I think it's glued. Oh, my hands are sweaty. I can't do it. Anyway.
Not AP. Not AP. His wife has never asked him to open a jar. She just opens all the jars.
Yeah. So yeah, guys, it's it's funny because it's not something serious, but everyone's jumping on it, and then I did too because it's funny.
And then a guy came along and he took the jar and just opened it immediately.
Another guy did?
Yeah,
that's awesome.
yeah. Right after Andrew Wilson handed it over, the guy opened. The thing is, Andrew and I, we have had a little bit of, we had our disagreements and we had a very harsh debate. And after the debate, he also pretty much accepted his loss, I would say. However, the thing is, I have since then made peace with him, and haven't had any problems with him. Apparently, he's a little bit angry that you made a video about him. He's angry at me, apparently. I don't know.
Wait, what? Wait, what? He's annoyed at my video?
I think he's a little bit angry about it, yeah.
You humiliated him.
So I heard.
That's funny because I only made the video because that's what I said in the video is what I thought as the debate was going on. And I thought about standing in line and asking a question, but I kind of didn't want to be like, oh, there's David. He's already biased and on AP's side, and here he is in line. So I didn't say anything. But the main reason I actually went through with it is because he called out you and me, and he's like, in this organization, who knows? Maybe it's funding David and AP. Like, what? I've never seen dime one from anyone. And,
I was a little jealous. I was like, what do you mean you guys are getting money from this organization? Cut me in. Come on.
Yeah, so I was like, he called us, and he called us out like by name repeatedly for stuff that's like involved with this stuff. And so I'm like, oh, all right, I'm gonna make a video about you.
That's very, very funny. Very, very funny. But hey, you can say it right now, right? So I had nothing to do with your video. It was completely your idea to do it.
Yeah, you can verify that at the debate, right after the debate, I told you what I was thinking, which is the same point I made in this video. But yes, AP had nothing to do with this video. So, Andrew, no retaliation against AP. But watch, he was like, oh, AP was so mad that he was humiliated that he got his bodyguard David Wood to attack me. That's how these guys think.
I told him very much. Even if this is going to be a problem or something, I'm not going to interact. I don't want to fight with anybody right now. So whatever.
Yeah, they're all trying to distract you from your cat human duties.
Yes. I'm trying to transform from a cat human into a lion, and they're not letting me. They're distracting me. See,
what happens after cat human?
Orthodox.
What?
After cat human, you're done with your cat human, then you become baptized. That's it.
You don't.
You become. You heard him. He becomes baptized. He'll be a bat.
Yeah,
that'd be cool. But it's not like this thing where I'm this thing and now I've graduated to this cool named thing, and then I'm graduated to this cool named thing, and so on. And now, actually, the 8th step is you become the Pope.
Unfortunately not. Unfortunately not. It's. I was expecting there would be kind of like 52 degrees or something.
33.
Initiations, but or 33 or whatever. But there is no such thing. It's just one phase of deciding to become learning and then becoming part of it, and then you're baptized, and then finally you're part of it. Yeah. But for some reason, these people have been attacking me non-stop since I decided to become a cat human, and they even do this whole thing where they attack me, and then I respond to them, and they're like, "Why are you talking? Why are you talking? You're supposed to focus on your catechism."
That's funny stuff. Ribera says, Muhammad and Al-Zutz respected time. Yes, Muhammad was always on time. For the men of Al-Zut, he even showed up early to set up, draw the Diddy line in the sand. Hey, won't be able to watch long, but here. Thank you, Celeria. Here's some good news. I'm sure a couple of people might comment on this. Hey, Tommy Robinson was released. Indeed.
Yes.
Woohoo!
In fact, if I hadn't already scheduled to do this topic, we would be discussing Tommy Robinson. But it's it's good. We'll definitely be covering Tommy's release and so on. Maybe try and get Tommy on, although I'm sure he's extremely busy and everyone probably wants him on right now. But he's putting out video clips and stuff. I have to say, I saw two clips. I saw one of him speaking and saying he's having some rally or something like that in September. That was, I don't know, a minute or two. And then the other was a few seconds of him at the barber shop after he got a shave and a haircut and so on. So those were all I saw. I have to say, he is looking significantly better than I thought he would. I'm someone who's been in solitary, and the fact that he's been in there so long, I expected him to be significantly more messed up. Now, once we hear him talk more, we'll find out if any damage has been done. But I expected him to look like he has PTSD after getting out of there. So anyway, that's cool. And here we have thoughts on Tommy Robinson getting out of jail. Cool. It's about time. It's really awesome that he came out and was instantly gung-ho. The first thing he does is they put a camera in his face and like, we're having a rally, a free speech rally in your face, Keir Starmer. You wanted war. You get a war like nothing you've ever seen before. It's basically that. So he came out. So apparently he's been... You got to have something that keeps you focused while you're in solitaire, or you'll just slowly lose your mind. But apparently he's just been, these guys want to fight. Wait until this door opens and they'll get a fight. And that kept him focused for all these months.
Good.
Why do channels like Jubilee never invite actual theologians or scholars like Wes Huff on to pop-level shows like this? Could it be that the whole thing is disingenuous? What do you think?
Yes.
You've seen more.
It's about money. Who is the biggest name that we can get on? Not who can represent Christianity or the right or the left best. Who is going to get the most clicks? We can make the most short clips out of. I mean, this is just what they do. It's about chasing views, all that stuff.
With Wes Huff, they would actually have a good combination of
he's popular.
He will get attention right now.
Yeah, he doesn't want to do any of that right now, though. They may have asked him, but he doesn't want to do it right now. He's trying to get that dissertation finished.
Well, just sit down and do it. Yo, Wes Huff, where you at?
Trying, but people keep bothering him, and he's got other commitments.
Makes sense.
Yeah, I specifically made it a rule that I was not going to bother him, and it turns out he was trying to message me, but he was messaging me on Instagram, where there's an account that claims to be me that was not me and stuff.
Did he finally get in touch with you on Twitter? I told him.
No, not that I know of. But yeah, so I wasn't even trying to contact him because I'm like, oh, he said he's busy. I'm not gonna mess with him. Let's see.
We all know David is savvy for how savvy David is for technology and social media. So it makes total sense he couldn't get a hold of you on Instagram. I don't understand why.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever been on Instagram except when someone says, "Hey, download this video that we'll be discussing. It's on Instagram. Here's the link." That is the only time I've ever been on that site. I still don't even know what it is. I mean, I know it's a place where you can put videos or something, but I don't understand the difference between that and other things. So yeah, Wes Huff I think would be good. IP, you would be good.
You too.
I'd love to do it, like be in the center, actually have a Christian in the middle. But if Jubilee wanted to do that, I'd be all down. But I'm pretty sure I would not get enough clicks because I only have like 500,000 followers. They want people that got more than that.
I think someone like Frank Turek would do a good job just because he does the college campus things where it's open Q&A and he's always got atheists firing off at him and stuff like that. I think he'd be good. So Wes, yeah, but they're gonna get whoever is trending at the moment. IP, please notice me. AP, please notice me. Oh, hi, David.
Hi, what up? Nice to notice you.
You noticed? Who? Okay. Joshua says, that should have been you, IP, debating 20 atheists.
Oh, I'd love to, yeah. Yeah, I wish I could. I mean, but again, Jubilee is going to go for the people who's going to get more clicks, and Jordan Peterson will always get more clicks than me.
Jubilee.
It probably should have been Trent Horn. I know Trent Horn, but I don't know if he'd be good at that format. What do you think?
He's a good debater. He'd be great at it, yeah.
Here's the thing. I think Andrew Wilson would be good in that sort of format where he gets to pick his contentions and so on. Hey, and he could be surrounded by 20 OnlyFans models. It'll be like his dream debate format. But we'll get like the dumbest of the dumb OnlyFans models, and he'd be like, "Oh, it's my dream debate."
It's 20 OnlyFans versus Andrew Wilson.
The line between Kermit the Frog voice and Jordan Peterson is thin, almost as thin as the line between general confirmation and complete denial. Absolutely. Let's see. They released Tommy Robinson, and he has a beard. Beware, Riker's beard will have nothing on Tommy's beard.
He already shaved it, man.
Yeah, he looked
shaved it
awful
pretty
with
quick.
it. He looks far better clean shaven, actually.
People were saying, they're like, oh, it would have been funny if he pranked everyone and said, I've converted to Islam. I was like, that would have been funny.
Weren't there like a couple years like fake articles coming out about him like 10 years ago or so saying that he did convert to Islam in prison?
It was a joke. It was a hoax because there's a ginger Muslim convert in Britain who kind of looks exactly like him. I also posted about it at some point as a joke. Yeah.
Tommy was also wearing a rosary. Looked like he's come to Christ. Totally based.
Oh yeah, I saw that. I don't know. What that was.
I didn't notice that. That would be interesting. Because
what do you mean? Wasn't he already a Christian?
I thought he was an atheist back in the day.
Really?
Yeah, that's what I thought. I'm not positive about that, but that's what I thought. Anyone know? I thought Tommy was an atheist or an agnostic because I remember people, whenever he would bring up Islam, they'd go after Christianity. He'd be like, I don't believe in this stuff. What are you bringing that up for? I think someone will know more than I do. So anyway, yeah, let me know in the chat, guys, if that. I thought Tommy was an atheist for some reason, but I can't think of exactly what I'm thinking of. But that's the impression I got. James went to Peter shouting, "I am the true Mahdi." Peter replied, "I challenge you to Mubahala." Then James sneezed, "You see, I'm the real Mahdi." Peter said, so Peter broke his neck to assert papacy, the incorruptible Injil. That's the real Injil.
Wait, Tommy wasn't a Christian? He was an agnostic? So that's what people say. Huh.
Is that what they said? I said, yeah, he was an atheist. Yeah, that's what I thought. I thought it was atheist or agnostic. I just remember him saying, why are you bringing up the Bible, man? I don't believe in this.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, it looks like I'm checking, not finding anything. It seems like he was not a practicing Christian prior to this. So maybe he is now. Who knows?
Yep. Multiple people saying atheist, agnostic, and then, of course, hardcore Scientologist. I'll let all of you judge which one is not true there. Cross. I don't know. Cross is greater than beard, you know. That is. He still should have pranked people and came out with his beard and said, Alhamdulillah, I bear witness. And then because there would have been a point to it, right? Been like, sitting in my cell, all I had was the Quran, and after reading it, I saw all the scientific miracles that proved that Islam is true. And then all the Muslims would have invited him on their podcast as like the new poster boy for da'wah. And then just wait until you get on the biggest one and be there and psych. That'd have been funny. Legend. That'd have been instant legend status. Peterson forgot to draw the Diddy line, so they rode him all night long. That's very rude. The El Zut story is not something to joke about. A man was horribly abused all night long. Dude, that 30% Israeli support for the Third Temple sounds extremely inflated. Also, a little help from my friends. Beatles is better. Cocker is a weakling. Okay, now you're just... See, I was thinking, okay, maybe he's got a point here at the beginning, and then you said the Beatles version is better than the Joe Cocker version, and then it
you know where the 30% comes from? The 30% comes from
a 2013.
I looked up a study and found that the only study that exists, the last study that was the last research that was done on this, the last polling, showed that a maximum of 30% of Israelis support, the idea of establishing the Third Temple. So I brought it up during the debate when he said that Israel wants to establish the Third Temple. I said that the latest, most recent survey that we have shows only a maximum of 30%. That's all, and that is possibly an overestimation. And he just ran with that. And then took that as, see, this is a confirmation, 30%. And if it's 30%, then it might actually be 70%. So
my issue was not with the 30% because, okay, there's something saying that. My problem was if you listen to him, he then lumped it together with people who want to name the Messiah. He lumped them together.
Exactly.
Yeah, and then he starts going, 30% of people want to name the Messiah. It's like, no, you're in a completely different category. In fact, lots of people who are waiting for the Messiah don't believe in rebuilding the temple. They believe that the Messiah has to come and do this stuff. It's not happening till the Messiah comes. So you're just sitting here waiting for that. You're not actively going out and doing it to try and set the stage. And then among the people who want to build the Third Temple, you've got people who are completely secular. They just don't like Muslims controlling they don't like Muslims controlling the place, and that Jews aren't allowed to have a temple there and stuff. So you have people who have no religious interest in this, and then you have people who want the temple just as a place to worship, but they're not thinking, oh yeah, that we need this for the Messiah. And so you have all sorts of different perspectives. So when you say, nope, every person who wants a temple built is also about to name a Messiah. And if they get this built, then they're going to name the Messiah, and that's going to be the Antichrist and so on. It's like, dude, this is you brag about like your airtight logic and so on. And this is just extremely, extremely sloppy. And if you don't believe me, jump on here.
Terrible, slippery, sloppy fallacy. The thing is also, they kept coming after me over this whole thing. So he pushed it and pushed it and pushed it, and I kept waving it away and calling it dumb that he suggested 30% of the Israelis want to bring about the Antichrist, or that Israel wants to do that, that this is Israel's ultimate plan. Eventually, he asked me on the spot, okay, so do you think we should support a nation where 30% wants to bring about the Antichrist? And I said, yeah. So,
powerful.
And I actually deliberately said yes, because I thought, okay, whatever, you want to hear it here, yeah. Because I knew they were going to clip that. I knew they were going to talk about that, so I did it. I said it. And the thing is, that's all they're talking about now. Whenever I see somebody mention this debate from his side, from their side, all they ever talk about, with all the details, all the arguments ignored, is just that part, that I said yes to supporting a nation where 30% of the people want to bring about the Antichrist, which I never even agreed to, which is complete nonsense. But I just said yes for the sake of it. Now, here's the thing. Even if it were true, and even if in that nation 30% of the people, which is very, very far-fetched and nonsensical and completely baseless, even if 30% wanted to bring about what you believe to be the Antichrist, I would still say we should be supporting that nation. because nothing about a minority part of the population holding a certain belief that goes against our beliefs or that is possibly evil says that we should therefore let this nation go completely and let them die and let them be killed. You also explained this very well. We talked about this before. Just because there is a danger of a part of the population possibly doing something evil in the future, that doesn't mean we shouldn't be doing what is right. What is right, as we have established here, and as he cannot refute, is that they deserve our help, and we should be standing up for them. That's it.
Yeah, and that multiple other things would apply to, in addition to what you were just saying. Like, I pointed out the parable of the Good Samaritan. These would have been enemies, and yet they weren't thinking in terms of, but this person will choose a false Messiah. I cannot help him. So there's that. And then the flip side, because he said, yeah, but that 30% is increasing. Source, trust me, Orthobro. But the 30% is increasing. And I'm sitting there, when he said that 30% is increasing, I was thinking, why would it increase? One, he didn't show that it's increasing. I have no reason to think that it's increasing. But two, if it were increasing, why would this sort of thing be increasing? Like, we want the Messiah to come and rescue. It would kind of be because they're like looking around at the world going, oh, a bunch of people turning against us. They're boycotting our economy and stuff like this. Very soon, we're going to need a lot of help here, and we're going to need like help from the Messiah. So yeah, I laid it down. Bottom line, a safe, strong Israel, not the sort of place that's we need to nuke the entire world or anything like that. People got to be really backed up and desperate to start going nuclear and stuff. And then this, and if people don't know what we're talking about with this song battle here from the Seal of the Prophets, the Beatles are like, what would you do if I sang out a tune? Would you stand up and walk out on me? Blame. And then Joe Cocker came on later on. What would you do if I sang out a tune? Would you stand up and walk out on me? And he just crushed it. And that's good. Whenever you come along after the original band and you crush the Beatles, that's good. Narrated, Sahih ya Muslim. Sahih ya Muslim. People who worship a man who was nailed to the cross, Christians. People who worship a man who was nailed by Al-Zut, Muslims. Draw your own conclusions. I'm screenshotting that one. I'm going to put Christians, people who worship a man nailed to a cross.
He was Islamophobe. They were just crowding him.
They were just crowding him when they were banging him. Why don't you?
Hey, another thing to add very quickly to the whole Antichrist discussion, right? We repeatedly talked during the debate. We repeatedly talked about Scripture and what the Scripture says and what early church fathers said, and so on. People may have not paid attention to one aspect, which is that, of course, Andrew Wilson never brought any evidence for anything at all.
I don't need evidence. I've got logic.
But the thing is also
IP. I don't know if you watched it, but he was saying he doesn't need sources or facts. He's just got logic. And I was telling AP, logic doesn't do anything unless you have content for the logic to act on.
You need to justify your premises. You need to be sound.
The thing is, the problem here is, if I asked him where exactly he gets the idea from that it is totally, the Jews or Israel that will bring about the Antichrist, he would not be able to substantiate that from any biblical passages or from early church fathers. He would possibly go to certain speculations, to certain, religious figures over the last decades or centuries or something like that, but he wouldn't be able to actually substantiate that and properly argue that. So, just to assume that that is a fact, and we can talk about whether that is a fact or not, but in order to establish that fact, he has to first bring arguments, bring evidence for it. He didn't do that. Without establishing that fact, it's also ridiculous to just jump to the conclusion, oh yeah, Jews want to bring about the Antichrist, and therefore if you support them, then you are supporting the Antichrist. It's just such horrible.
That's what I mean. There are all these assumptions when he's speaking. All these just things that are just made up. But he's saying, and here's my four-step logically deductive argument, stuff like this, and it gives the impression that everything is like airtight, and it's not. And there's nothing you're saying that's airtight. So anyway, yeah, jump in here, Andrew. See what happens.
You see?
Yeah, I didn't think so. Trying to open a jar. Why don't you open up YouTube channels in native Muslim languages? Find native speakers to run them out with content. This way, apostasy is only spreading with English. Apostasy is only spreading with English speakers. AP, what's up with your Turkish channel? Yeah, as far as other languages, Sergeant, I don't speak any other languages. So you would say, go get someone. You go get someone. Anyone is welcome to take any of my videos and translate them into another language and post them. Mm-hmm. So that's not on me. That's on anyone who wants to do that can do that. So that can be done.
People have contacted me about putting like captions in my videos in other languages. And I always say, yeah, go for it, please. Yeah,
I always tell the same thing. I say, yep. The lid mocked every strain, his knuckles white, his face in pain. He grunted low, he gave a shake, the jar endured, his pride did break. From Andrew Limprist. IP would do jippity on Parker if he was there. I don't know what that means.
Yeah, Parker was trying to set up an argument that I have addressed in the past, and I knew it was about to happen when I saw it. But
who's Parker? He's one of these guys in this Jubilee?
He was one of the guys on there, yeah.
I only watched like 10 minutes of it, so.
Yeah, Jordan Peterson just pivoted, so he never actually got to make the argument. But yeah, I saw it coming.
I open my own dang jars. That's apostate of Allah. That's why she apostatized. She was like, even Allah cannot open a jar, but I can. Mike Winger could have opened that jar. That's what I'd like to see. An Andrew Wilson versus Mike Winger olive jar opening contest. Where they'll both be sitting there for hours. I can't get it. What do you mean? Can I go to the bathroom? Have you even talked about the concept of going or the very reason why you can? Dispensationalists believe the Antichrist will sit in the rebuilt temple. They don't believe they can bring him about by building the temple. Wilson's argument is stupid. There's no cause and effect. Yep. Even people who believe that like building the temple is I'm talking about Christians who believe that building the temple is a necessary step or something like that. They don't believe that they're somehow hastening. I mean, to be fair, I'm sure there are some people who do believe that they're hastening things, but general would be, okay, we've got to do the stuff that's on us, but the rest of the stuff is on God. We're not rushing him. So anyway, I don't know. Yeah. Weird stuff.
It's also, I don't know, man. Whenever people talk about this, this whole Israel issue, people like him always go to the whole dispensationalism thing. Why do we keep talking about dispensationalism?
Yeah, people keep bringing it up to me. I'm not a dispensationalist, and my reasoning on this issue has absolutely nothing to do with dispensationalism. It's just
zero.
It's just you have different groups around the world. I notice one that a lot of people want to wipe out, and therefore I believe that they should be able to protect and defend themselves. It's not hard reasoning here.
Yeah, it's a very popular view in America, so that's why people keep bringing it up. They associate it with it's like foundational to Christianity, and it just isn't. It's a modern belief that's not even in the historical church.
After a cat human, you become an orthodox.
That makes sense. Yes,
that would be funny.
When you become baptized, though.
Hey, check out AP's reading. No one say anything, but everyone check out what AP's reading.
Oh no, not the Schofield Bible.
Oh no, you can see it. Oh no,
busted! Oh, we've got the proof. We've got a screenshot. 3 handsome nerds swoon. Thanks for all you do. That's good. We good.
Thank you.
No, we make you swoon.
AP, cat human meow mixes it up with orthobros.
That's true. Very much.
Let's see. I don't know why I was never a member.
Shame on you.
Shame.
Member of what? We've talked about 7 different things. We don't know if you're talking about being on Jubilee or being one of the guys from a member of the Al Zut tribe. Or something with the orthobros, or
he's clearly complaining he's not a member of the Al Zut.
I don't know if I told you, but as soon as I posted that, I started getting all these messages from Indian dudes. It was like, "That's right, that is what we did to him. That's exactly what we did. We're very strong." It's awesome. Oh man. For some reason, YouTube recommended me a Hassan Piker about Peterson getting destroyed or something. How dare YouTube think I could ever be controlled by a vitamin D deficient troglodyte? AP, are we going to cover something with Hassan Piker? Is it Hassan Piker or Hassan Piker?
Hassan Piker.
Didn't you say you wanted to cover something from him, or was that someone else?
I didn't say that. I would never want to cover something about Hassan Piker.
Oh, good.
No.
He's also being charged with assault. Never ends. Oh, Tommy? Huh.
Why?
Yeah.
How about 20 Theists versus Danny the Atheist kid? That's the kid who annoyed the crap out of Peterson, right?
Yeah.
That's funny. I haven't watched it yet, but I saw the kid in the clips that people were circulating, so I grabbed that clip. So we're going to check that out.
Don't be a smartass.
That's what he said.
I just remember because I took a picture of him for the picture of Jordan from the screenshot, but he looked really mad. He was like, classic Jordan Peterson. Hey, AP, I noticed you have a picture of Maximilian Maria Kolbe on your bookshelf, and as a Polish man myself, it makes me really happy you know of him. Hello, David and IP.
I do indeed. It was one of those things. One of the things I became familiar with, actually, kind of like here, this dude helped me get acquainted with Christianity, and made me feel closer and closer to it as I was looking into certain people that are, respected in different Christian traditions, and I found people like him who are very, very, very much held to high degrees because he was brutally killed by the Nazis and stuff like that. So, yeah.
AP is only interested in people who had something to do with the Germans.
Yes.
Alexander Schmorell, all those guys.
Yes.
He likes Saint Martin because he heard it in a German song.
That's correct.
Hey, look at this. Hey, look. Jubilee Muhammad versus 20 Atheists. I've seen Muhammad Hijab's fans all recommending that to Jubilee, going, "You got to get Muhammad Hijab on. Get Muhammad Hijab. He's so strong." And I'm thinking, you can't do it, man. Not after the story of Al-Zut has been popularized. It would be endless jokes, man. You would not live it down, and Hijab wouldn't do well because I mean, everyone's thumbnail would be Muhammad Hijab and then him surrounded by all the atheists, and everyone's going to be Al-Zut. You know it.
Man.
You know it. He knows it. He wouldn't even do it just to avoid that, because that would be endless.
You should do a boom boom room, Muhammad surrounded by 20 atheists, and then just one comes up, blows him up, another one comes up, blows him up. And
no, we'll have Muhammad meets Muhammad versus Muhammad meets 20 Hindus, but it's the Al-Zut tribe.
It's the joke.
These are fun times, man. These are fun times. And what's funny is there's so much else that I was like, AP, true or false? I've been warning them. True. I've been warning them, saying, guys, if you keep lying about Isaac and Rebecca, if you keep lying about the age of Mary, I'm not going to tell people to lie in response, but there are all these things I can bring up where it sounds really messed up, and I can show how messed up it sounds, and I'm not going to tell people to lie, but what I can do is not give you the benefit of the doubt. You have all these weird like Muhammad being covered in semen, right? Like even if you give him benefit of the doubt, it's like, okay, well, he used his garment as a semen rag before he headed to the mosque. Nasty. It's already nasty. If you're giving it the best, most charitable interpretation. Guess what? You don't have to give it the charitable interpretation. You could say that's D-Hell Kolbe's skeet all over him. You could say, and then you don't even have to say it's a human. You could say it's a goat. You could say anything, right?
No. This is an undesigned coincidence in the Muslim sources, because now we can chronologically place the meeting with the Al-Zut followed by the day that Aisha saw him doing that. So, I mean, it just makes sense. I mean, it all correlates now.
Oh, hey, we got a special guest. We've got a special guest, everyone. We got Lily J.
Hello. Hello, everyone.
You're a lot prettier in person.
Address the haters.
You're a lot prettier in person.
Oh, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
What do you guys think? Oh, hey, look at this. Tusi said he became a full Christian in prison. Yeah, hey, listen. So you said that, and then Tesbot says, Tusi said, so two people said it. Two people said it right here, back to back. Tusi said, Tommy has become a Christian since being in prison. Guys, that would actually make sense. The last time he was in prison, he came out and he looked messed up. He looked like he had PTSD. And here they had him in longer. And so I took it as obvious that he was going to come out even more messed up. And he didn't look messed up at all this time. And so it would be amazing, absolutely amazing, if the reason he was able to hold it together psychologically in solitary was that he became a Christian and was just in there reading the Bible.
I saw a little cross necklace. So I was like,
I did too, yeah.
That would be crazy awesome, but we got to hear some more. Why would a person even be actively against or trying to prevent the Antichrist if he believes in revelation? Who is he or anyone to try to forbid the will of God? Well, to be fair to what's his face, Andrew, he doesn't think you're necessarily talking about the Antichrist. He thinks you could be talking about an Antichrist, and you can't oppose, just people who have the spirit of Antichrist or something like that, or at least not want to help them. Guys, please react to Kyle Kulinski's deranged new video about Rogan's conversion to fundamentalist Christianity and Wes Huff trying to force to believe Jesus is God, making Wes a snake oil salesman. I'm not familiar with any
Kyle
of that.
Kulinski?
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, is that guy who does secular talk?
Secular talk, yeah.
Oh, that guy.
Well, if you want to do a show, get a better name. Kulinski.
Completely interesting guy.
Please remember, guys, when you make judgments on the UK based on the disgusting decisions the PM made, know that the majority of the population agree with you. We're based. Yeah, that's why you keep voting these guys into power, because you're so based. Yeah. Bridge over troubled waters, Disturbed, way better than original Simon and Garfunkel, the hippies. They did Bridge Over Troubled Water too. I know they did Sound of Silence and crushed it. I don't know. There's no way you're doing Bridge Over Troubled Waters better than the original, because the vast majority of bands cannot sing like that. So I'd have to hear that. Love y'all's comment. IP, are you still working on PhD? Maybe I'm mistaken. I thought you were. I thought you were working on a master's, and that you got.
So I got my master's like 3 years ago now. So I got it in like 2022. So yeah, I would like to do a PhD. I don't have the time or the money right now to invest in that. However,
if you had limitless funds, would you be able to work on a PhD and crush it on YouTube simultaneously?
Yes, absolutely. Because my goal would be
what you do is you pick a topic where you're studying stuff that you also use on YouTube.
Yeah, my goal would be to get the PhD from like Cambridge or something, but that's super expensive.
If you're also talking about Cambridge, yeah, it's not just expensive. It's you got to go. Unless you want to leave your family behind.
No, you don't have to. No, you can do it online, and when you do the PhD, you just have to do the dissertation. You don't have to take classes. So, like, I talked to somebody about it. Problem is, I just don't have the money or the time right now.
Dude, quit being a dork. I know that's impossible, but. You should go ahead and apply. If you apply and you get accepted to Cambridge or something like that, dude, we'll help you crowdfund the cost. We'll help you. We'll all help you. Everyone will be thrilled to have Inspiring Philosophy getting his PhD at Cambridge University. Everyone will chip in.
Okay. Yeah, I will start looking into that this summer, see what I can do. I'm potentially could start in a year, I'd say, based on what I have. So it's just find the application, put in the application. If you say you get accepted, we will start a campaign right then. Cool. Love y'all's comment. IP, are you still working on PhD? Oh no, what is this? Love your story. D1 and AP as well. Would love it if you had Bob at Speaker's Corner. I've been on with Bob before, but I've actually been in contact with Bob to. We're going to do a show. Timing is off because
With him, I'd have to go live around like noon or 1 or something. We're going to do it. We just haven't like picked a day and a topic. But yeah, I'll be on with Bob here in the next week or two. And then what is
IP, why don't you call yourself a master?
Why don't I call myself a master?
Yeah,
Because I've never played Pokemon, so I cannot achieve Pokemon Master.
good point.
Guys, this is weird. It's like the super chats are coming in faster. I have no idea why. Because this is not.
Oh,
normal.
it's such a horrible problem to have, guys. I got so many super chats. What am I going to do?
What am I going to do with all the super
No,
chats?
I'm
I
not,
don't
guys.
want
I'm not.
super chats
I'm not
anymore.
complaining. I want people to be aware of this because
Stop the
if we're not
super
watching the
chat.
video, that ain't on me. That ain't on me.
Don't worry,
Stop
guys. We'll review it
sending
on my
so many
channel
super
tomorrow, and
chats.
we'll start reviewing it within 15 minutes, not what, an hour later.
Yeah, I'll probably take a couple I'll probably take a couple more super chats, and then we'll go ahead and watch the clip.
I didn't realize y'all
my
hadn't
friend
even
Danny.
started it yet. I just showed up.
We had
Y'all haven't-
no, yeah. So normally super chats come in throughout. All of a sudden they were like top loaded, like right at the beginning. Everyone, because you got the Tommy thing, you got my video about Andrew Wilson, you got some of these other things and stuff.
There's a lot going on.
People just started, it's top loaded. Normally you get super chats sort of spread evenly throughout. This one, for some reason, people already had a bunch of stuff they wanted to bring up. A pusillanimous leather grape on Zabiba machine of the cow of Al-Zut. I added the Al-Zut myself there. Said, was holding 60-pound dumbbells above my face, and you're talking about Momo getting nailed by the Zut. You're trying to damage my brain like they damaged Momo. He was listening while working out.
Dangerous.
All right, this one's for you. You got to say this, Lily J.
Hey, ChatGPT, give me 100% not biased Dawa answers.
Well, Lily J, everything is confirmed that Islam is true, and this is just proven.
Where did the idea of abrogation come from in Islam? Was it made up to explain contradictions and innovations of interpretation? Yes, absolutely. And if you look, so you got a couple of verses in the Quran that are specifically about abrogation. Look up what's called the Asbab al-Nuzul, which is the background of why these verses were revealed. Both of those will tell you. So Surah 2, verse 106, Surah 16, verse 101. Look up both of those. Go to altafsir.com and look up. You have to go to Wahidi. He gives the Asbab al-Nuzul. So look up Wahidi, those verses. Look at the background. Both of those verses, the context is unbelievers were making fun of the Muslims, saying, how do you believe in this guy? He tells you one thing one day, and then 2 weeks later, he tells you the opposite, and you keep believing this is from God. This makes no sense. That's when Muhammad got the revelation. Oh, yes, we abrogate things, and we change them, and we always bring something better than it or like it. Matter of fact, I mean, I've brought that up in videos like in the past at various points, but that should just be its own video, like what led to the doctrine of abrogation. You're right. Thank you. Matter of fact, I'm going to screenshot that because it's an easy video to make. Just talk about the 2 verses and then read the passages. Easy video. Easy video. D Wood, for my birthday, can you just say one nice thing about Mike Winger? Yes, I can. His face is very punchable. Beware the nuclear messiah. He has not Jewish nukes, jukes, and red heifers. Why is no one taking this seriously? Jukes are not a joke, Ridvan. Traditional Jew here. Hey, this is good. Traditional Jew here. I'd very much want a third temple. Big no-no on the Antichrist BS. Too bad you didn't go through super chats in that debate. Hi, y'all. Oh, that's funny.
Good to hear, Moosh. Good to hear.
This seems like, if you ask me, I'm totally cool with a third temple. I'd love to see a third temple, mainly because of what would be required to clear the ground for the third temple. I'd be loving it. Now, and we're going to pick a Messiah, would not be loving it, stuff like that. But yeah, I think there are lots of Jews and lots of non-Jews, Christians, and so on who are thinking like that. Just like, why everyone else has their site? Why can't Jews have their site? Because we don't want to hurt the feelings of Muslims. Okay, that shouldn't be a criterion.
Here's the thing. So the idea there is that that certain Jews want to establish the third temple, and establishing the third temple is associated, according to certain prophecies and all that, with the Jewish Messiah coming, and the Jewish Messiah then, from a Christian perspective, or from a generally traditional Christian perspective, would be the coming of a false Messiah, which would be an Antichrist or the Antichrist or something like that. But there are different perspectives on this as well. Like, I mean, I have read of Orthodox Christian, it doesn't get more traditionalist than that, of Orthodox Christian hierarchs who have said certain things like that the Jewish Messiah, when the Jews expected the Messiah, and the Messiah of the Jews comes, it could very well be that the Jewish Messiah that comes could turn out to be the second coming of Jesus himself, who then will reconcile everyone, and which will then bring about what everybody is waiting for, and it will be nothing but good. For example, like, this is also an interpretation that is held among some Orthodox Christians. So the whole idea that Andrew Wilson was presenting there, which is that Jews expect Messiah, Antichrist come very bad, not Christian, is just it's terrible.
Yeah, that's an interpretation. And matter of fact, so yeah, you have a lot of the stuff is who is it? Maimonides and Rambam and so on, and they said a lot of stuff about this. But here's something I've heard. Jews who want the temple rebuilt believe that it will be done so by God, not us, when it's merited. We don't think about Antichrist, Dajjal, or eschatology nearly as much as Christians or Muslims. We really just don't want to be exterminated. That's it. And that's because we covered the basically the Temple Institute when we were talking about the red heifer situation, and that's what we found. The Jews who were responding to this stuff were saying, well, it has to be the Messiah doing this stuff. This is not stuff we do. It's the Messiah who has to be doing this stuff. So that's like, oh, you have different perspectives in there. But again, Andrew Wilson will take something like, oh, this is what this group is saying, therefore all of this is all the same. And it's not.
It is
very sloppy. But what do you expect from a guy who can't open an olive jar? Who is this super nerd David and AP have on?
Yeah, who is this? It's Lily J. That's
Lily
the super
J.
nerd.
Lily J.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, here you go. Jubilee episode: 1 Muhammad versus 20 Al-Zut.
Don't be funny.
Yeah, is that something that one of these AI could make? I know you can't say Muhammad, but you put one Arab in the center of. If it'd be good if you could do it actually like set up like the Jubilee room, but have like Muhammad and he's surrounded by all these guys. Someone work on it and send it to me. I will popularize it. You just make it. I'll make it popular. I wanting to have conversations in Dearborn, Michigan with Muslims, a la Charlie Kirk. Any advice? If you're a Christian, you can actually go. There are ministries like Ministry to Muslims that actually go to Dearborn and stuff, but you could actually set up a table just like that, and you'd have a bunch of Christians around you. So contact Ministry to, if you're a Christian, contact Ministry to Muslims, and you can roll with them. So Momo and the Al-Zut walk into a bar. The bartender's like, this bar is not big enough for all these men of Al-Zut. Dear IP, why am I getting so much anti-Semitism from the rad trad Catholics online and Discord? Real knowledgeable folks too, undergrads, etc. It's odd.
Yeah, I found it incredibly odd too, this rise of anti-Semitism. It tends to be coming from a lot of the least churched individuals. Like, they'll claim it, but that maybe they're outliers. But the majority of the people that engage in that, they're going to be far more likely to be the least churched. So people that they're claiming this identity, and they're not really big into their Catholic heritage. And so you got to be careful of that. So they could be rage baiters. They could be trolls. Just it's people jumping on this bandwagon you're getting from some of the protest Palestinian people that are like, what is that? Like Jake Shields, for example, or Nick Fuentes, like these nut jobs. So I'd be very skeptical if they represent real average Catholics in the pew every week. It's probably not.
And here's this weird issue that's related. It's you have all these guys spending every waking moment whining about Jews, and it's every time I go on X for 2 seconds. It's Jews, Jews, Jews. And it's to where I can't say anything about Islam anymore without people instantly, but what about Jews? It's like
Right.
Christians.
Oh,
I'll be like,
God.
yeah, I'll be like, hey, here's my case, blah, blah, blah. Oh, what about the Talmud? It's like instant. And then, so I'll see that like this is spreading rapidly. And I'll be like, oh, okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and make another video about some point that has, and then, why are you licking the balls of Israel? Why are you so obsessed with defending Israel? It's like, you're the guys who won't shut up. If you shut up, I wouldn't even be thinking about it.
Here's my answer to that. It's like, why, like every time I bring up child marriage, why don't you bring up child marriage in the Talmud? Well, gee, I don't know. Maybe because Jews aren't running around making arguments for child marriage or advocating for it or challenging me to debates to defend child marriage in front of a live audience, which actually happened with the Muslims. Maybe that's why. Maybe Jews aren't actually advocating for child marriage today like Muslims are left and right. So maybe that's why. Maybe if you guys were not so obsessed with the Jews, you'd wake up and realize the actual situation on the ground.
In fact, to make it very, very clear, no matter what these people think the Talmud actually says, the traditional Orthodox Jewish perspective on age of marriage is very, very well established. It is found in the Shulchan Aruch, which is a Jewish book of law, which is pretty much valid across the board for Orthodox Jews. And what they see, what they say, is that child marriage is forbidden. And it has very well been established that that no minor can be betrothed or married or anything like that, and that a girl has to, and that a boy and a girl have to reach an age where they can clearly think and can make long-term decisions in order to get to have a marriage. So this is the traditional Jewish perspective. On the other hand, we have the traditional Muslim perspective. We all know what the traditional Muslim perspective is.
Bang children.
And Jews don't have like a prophet with a sunnah who married a 9-year-old, and they're all supposed to follow and do what he does.
But Isaac married Rebecca when she was 3, and he's a prophet. Oh, you didn't think of that, did you?
Good point, Menge.
Yeah. So here's the issue. It's like all these guys are like, all they talk about is Jews all day, and then all they do is try to turn every topic into something about Jews. And then you eventually want to respond to something that someone says, and it's about Israel or something like this. And then they're, oh, why are you talking about Jews? Why are you so obsessed? But they use that as a form of like manipulation. We'll harass you if you talk about something. We say you're and you don't agree with us. But it's like, guys, we've been dealing with jihadis for years. You think a bunch of freaking groypers are going to make us be quiet with these intro level manipulation tactics where you just go, what are you licking Israel's balls? And that's supposed to make us go, oh no, we won't talk about that. We've had guys threatening to murder our entire families for years now. You go, oh, but we're groypers.
I have been reading so many studies and books on the damaging effects of Islam. I'm finding some juicy stuff you guys have never heard of on how bad Islam is for society.
What is it as juicy as Muhammad on the night of Al-Zut?
Oh, it's just as juicy.
What are each of you guys' favorite books in the Bible?
Ooh, I still like Genesis. Genesis has always been my favorite. It's super
based. It's super based, and has grown on me over the years. But yeah, it changes. It changes from time to time. Definitely like the Gospels. Love the Book of Acts. Some of Paul's letters. AP's just like, no, Ecclesiastes. It's the only one that matters.
I used to care a lot about Ecclesiastes because I read it a lot and I thought it was very, very based. Nowadays, it's more the Gospel of John.
I like the Injil and the Torah.
My favorite book was the Book of the Council of Nicaea, but sadly they removed it.
They removed it. Yeah.
I hate when they did that. I was so mad.
John for me also. I know that's a boring answer, but I love it. I love it so much, especially. So I'm not some super genius with Greek, but I read it in the interlinear, and there's so much fun, like wordplay and stuff going on. But it's also easier to understand than the other books in Greek.
Nerd.
Just to be fair, only around 15% of all the female guests on the whatever podcast have been involved in sex work.
I don't care.
Don't know why you're so
Man,
obsessed.
I was really wondering about that. Thank you.
Yeah. I don't know.
So,
I don't know.
here-
I don't know why
here's
you
the
did.
thing,
I
man.
don't. I don't know what. One, I don't know why you're so interested in bringing up sex work on here. But two, you kind of just admitted that you went around you investigate all these girls and their OnlyFans pages. Oh, I'm just doing research, everyone. I'm researching which of these girls are OnlyFans, and I have to go verify. Oh yes, she is here on OnlyFans.
here's the thing.
Here, let me give you some money.
Here's the thing: when you look up the whatever podcast, I don't even want to mention their name, but since we mentioned it, and since this is the response here, if you look up the whatever podcast and you go on their Twitter account, for example, their Twitter account is literally on their Twitter account and on their other accounts. Their profile picture is a blow up sex doll. On their thumbnails,
That's Muhammad.
on their
That's a picture of Muhammad.
on their thumbnails, if you go on their YouTube page and you look at their
Hold on.
thumbnails,
Hang on. I know you're making a point, AP, but this is something that just popped into my head, and 5 minutes from now, I'm not going to remember it ever again. So it has to be said. It needs to be on record so other people can remind me of it. I don't know what it takes to make a blow-up doll, but we need a Muhammad blow-up doll that we send to the modern descendants of the men of Al-Zut. That needs to be a thing. This will be a bestseller.
We can fill it with helium and put it on a donkey and let it fly in.
very bad idea.
This will be a #1 bestseller for the Al-Zut people in, I think they're called Jat now, but in India and Pakistan. They will love it. They will love it. They will love it. So guys, we get it done. We need a Prophet Muhammad blow-up doll for these purposes. And Muslims just keep lying about the Bible, because this is the stuff that pops into my head. Anyway, all right, sorry about that.
Very bad idea. Then you go on their YouTube channel page, on their view page. You look at their live streams every single time when they are live, even when they have people like Jay Dyer and people on who discuss stuff like I don't know, Christianity and traditional morals and all that. Their thumbnails are I don't want to describe them, and I also don't ask you to go and look at them, but everybody knows what their thumbnails look like. They certainly don't look like anything good. And then you look at their shows. If it's not consisting of a one-on-one debate, the show is generally one woman looking like a complete dummy and a doll in the background making stupid faces with her breasts out or halfway out, and
There's
then
nothing wrong with that.
the other good point. And the other sitting there also with their breasts half out. So I'm sorry. And half the show is about, oh, what is your body count and what kind of people do you like to have sex with? Are you freaking serious, man?
That's
That is
not
the kind
all
of
that's
show?
on there, AP. That's not all that's on there. Sometimes they open jars of olives. Or they try anyway.
You can't go on a show like that and then expect to be taken seriously. I'm sorry.
David, would you go on Jubilee versus 20 Atheists if invited? Yes, I would. I just don't think I'd be the best one for it. There would be people.
You should do 20 Muslims.
20 Muslims, yes, especially because you get to pick the topics, right? If it's like Islamic dilemma and whether Muhammad got banged in his butt by the men of Al-Zut, I'd do stuff like that in a heartbeat. Set it up. Can I ask what caused Sam Shamoon to convert to Catholicism? I like his streams, but his view on Protestants seems dramatic considering his upbringing. You can go ask him. He does live call-in shows. I would love to see 20 pro-Palestine college kids versus that former Hamas guy. It would be totally unfair for the college kids. Yes. You're not even fit to be in college. How can you tell me? Killed by Nazis, AP, dope. What is this?
Yes.
Oh, you talk about that guy earlier. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
It's not impossible for a priest to claim to be Messiah, so should we support the church? It's not impossible for a priest to claim to be Messiah, so should we support the church? Yeah, so the idea here is if that's your reasoning, hey, if I do this or help this person in this circumstance, this could lead to to a false Messiah, therefore I shouldn't do it. And that was the issue for me. If Andrew Wilson had just been basically denying AP's claim, that would be one thing. I don't even think I would have made a video, but he actually claimed the reverse. You have a moral obligation not to support Israel, a moral obligation. So it's different from saying, I don't believe you have a moral obligation to support Israel. Saying you have a moral obligation to not support Israel, that is a stronger claim, but that's what he was claiming. And it's because of that reasoning. You know, you're going to get the Antichrist. If you're going to use that reasoning, you could, if I walk outside of my house and a bunch of skinheads are beating up a Jew, I could say, well, maybe he's going to support the Antichrist in the future, so I shouldn't help it. There's just something really weird about that reasoning. Peg leg right. Song names escape me. Sounds of silence. Aha! It was. I was correct. It was not Bridge Over Troubled Water. Men used to circle and press against Muhammad, and when he died, they placed a stone of remembrance for men to circle and press against. It's now the Kaaba. Oh, I need to say that. Look at them treating the Kaaba like they treated, like the men of Al-Zut treated Muhammad. Oh, I can't wait for the Hajj, man. There's going to be some Hajj jokes, ladies and gentlemen. There's going to be Hajj jokes. Look at them circling the Kaaba like the men of Al-Zut. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Never going to live this one down. Hi, my boys. AP, has anyone told you when you wear your short dreads, you look like Dick Van Dyke and Chitty Chitty Bang Bang? What do you see, song? Oh, no. when he dressed up. I remember that. Yeah. Hey, you should check that out.
No, I'll check it out.
You'll love that. It was so well done. I don't know how long it took them to choreograph that and stuff, but they're pretending to be toys in order to infiltrate this some baron's place or something like this. But they're almost doing like kind of a robot thing and stuff like this. Anyway, he plans to be a puppet, and she pretends to be a wind-up doll, but she's singing. And that's the thing. Everyone thinks they're like animatronic, but it's them. Anyway, it was really, really, really well done. So anyway, saw that when I was a kid, and it was super dope. But yeah, that does have the same hair. We al-zutted Muhammad so hard he started wearing a dress. Oh, that's what happens when you tie those things together, because he's got all the passages about Muhammad wearing women's clothes. Check me out, clean comic books like Jesus cleans us, amen, Jesus Christ is Lord. You make clean comic books? Why do people cling to fire and brimstone despite how immoral it is? IP, would you consider doing a debate against the etc. crowd as and C? I don't know what this is.
As in CI? Doing a debate against the eternal conscious torment crowd as a conditional immortalis. So, no, I don't really care to debate that topic. Again, I want to focus more on external issues rather than internal. So yeah, I no desire to just fight among Christians. I want to try to bring people together so that we can deal with atheism and Islam more than anything else.
Tusi's video from 5 hours ago, timestamp 110. I'm going to screenshot that. That is where apparently he talked about Tommy converting to Christianity. I will check that out, probably make a quick little video. Hey, fellas, hope you are very well. David, are you familiar at all with Bernard Longerin and his book Insight? No. For some reason, I recall the name, but I don't know why. Lonergan. Gadfly, you would be a passable trans hubba hubba. That's a good compliment.
That's so sweet of you.
David Wood, when will you follow the Sunnah and cover your clothes in semen? Oh, hi, IP and AP. That's what we need to be asking our matter of fact, that was funny when who did the next Zakir Naik do that? Was it to the Muslim cowboy or someone? So the Muslim cowboy said, there's nothing Muhammad did that I wouldn't also do. And I think it was him who said, so you'd walk around covered in semen? Oh boy, classic. How would Al-Zut feel if multiple Muhammads from Song of Songs 5:16 surrounded them? Yeah, they wouldn't like that very much.
Nope.
D Wood is right. We would all help IP fund his PhD. You heard it here, folks, and you're getting confirmation. So we got some comments on this. David, always with the galaxy brain ideas, we would absolutely pitch into a Cambridge PhD. Of course. I mean, it's like obvious. And here you're like, I don't know how I would ever fund this.
It's a lot. It's going to be like 20,000 a year. I mean, we're talking like over 100,000.
If you said 100,000 a year, we could get that covered. That's how important it would be. That's how important it would be, and how much we respect your brain power. Meant content, not comment. Love it when you want to speakers in your armor. Oh, when I went speakers in my speakers corner, my powerful Quran shirt. Jesus is the only way. That's true. Typical David complaining about more money. That's what I do. Yeah. It is a weird situation because people are sending you super chats, but you also have a topic. The Adam Bull Show said, IP, what would your PhD be in and why Cambridge? I think it's obvious why Cambridge, but...
Cambridge is very prestigious. A PhD would be in philosophy. I'd either focus on problem of evil or solving the logical problem of the Trinity. I'd lean more towards Trinity right now because I think I got a pretty interesting model to address that. So either one of those two. That's where I would definitely lean towards. Because, I already have the master's in philosophy. I just get the PhD in philosophy. If there's a possibility I would do New Testament studies because I'd want to focus on the oral traditions in the Gospels, but I need to learn Greek before I do that. So there's a lot of stuff I need before I get there.
Hey, I've actually heard that Moody's program, if you're just for doing it on your own, is awesome for learning Greek. So anyway,
yeah.
But that's something you can do on your own on the side, and like as preparation and stuff. Yep. Make IP more nerdy. I'd buy that for $1. Hey, that's from RoboCop. I'd buy that for $1. They had a whole show. Ooh, this is Double Troll. Ooh, that Lily J. Can she be my mutter wife? Yeah, don't show yourself to Muhammad Hijab dressed like that.
Noted. Yeah, I'll be in a McDonald's the next thing you know, then a hotel.
I do buy your Allah. JP in another universe. So AP, you're basically saying the Israelites are like, no, don't build another temple. Jesus will come back.
Yes.
So the Council of Inspiring Mahdi, Cathuman Mahdi, Lily J. Izya, and Dawood Mahdi. This council needs a book inscribed by Ezra, the successor of Mahdi's.
I agree.
You guys need to chastise me. I have been so busy lately. I've missed the last 10 AP and Dizzle live streams. My schedule is just al-zooting me.
Shame on you. Shame on you.
Shame on you.
I love that that's becoming
Terrible.
a term for all kinds of things. An AI pic of Mo sitting on a couch, crisscross, with a bunch of al-zoot standing behind him. It ends with his robe stain. I mean, I did a modified thing. I made the picture that was a famous meme. It was going around on Twitter, so I just modified it for that. That's doing well. Here's the thing. So that video I made about Muhammad and al-Zut, it's got over 600,000 views. It's going to get to 1 million. Once it gets to 1 million, I'm going to launch the next sensitive topic. I'm not sure whether it's going to be Muhammad cross-dressing, I've covered that before, or his grave rendezvous with his dead aunt. Extra creepy. Mike, I found a couple of your records at a yard sale recently. Banging bars, bruh.
Oh, you're welcome.
Mike
Thanks,
Jones.
ex-fireman with a 70s porn stash.
Look at all these bookshelves. Who has the best? Me.
What? Look at this.
I think we should be careful not to enable a false religion, Judaism, to counter another false religion, Islam, while defending innocent people. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm thinking in
Don't
terms
tell me
of...
what to do.
Yeah, I'm thinking in terms of people. I'm not enabling anyone's religion. I'm about protecting people from being jihaded.
This is just pretty simple logic, as you kind of pointed out today. Like, if Israel is wiped out by the jihadists, they get hold of nuclear weapons, and they're far more likely to use it, whereas Israel just wants to exist and defend themselves. They're not trying to nuke the West. Like, it wouldn't even make sense. So, I mean,
They
like,
won't kill me for drawing a cartoon, you know.
Yeah, of
Yes,
Ezra.
they will. That's what the
Ridiculous.
Jews will do to you.
If you draw a cartoon of Ezra, wait, who said that?
If you draw a cartoon of Ezra, the
Ezra,
Jews.
who's son of God, yes.
Hey, that would be funny. That would be next time I'm in Israel. Someone remind me of that. Next time I'm taking a trip to Israel, I'll do an experiment. I'll draw a cartoon of Ezra and go around showing it
How
to
many
Jews.
people try to kill you?
how many people try to beat me up for drawing Ezra? A customer of mine who writes for Al Jazeera and Al Zut, and at every opportunity will make sure you know it, tried to convince me that the Torah and Quran are virtually identical. We have all been refuted. No, that's just idiotic nonsense. That's Yeah, that's people who don't understand either, usually. I genuinely think that D. Wood is smarter than JP, and he would have done 100% better than him in that situation, just saying. I would say me from like 15 or 20 years ago would be, I've just lost like quickness over, I've lost mental quickness. It's kind of a combination of just getting older, but also going through a PhD in philosophy where everything you say is always being attacked, and you eventually train yourself to attack all your ideas. So even when someone's bringing up something, I don't like blurting out something rapid fire. I'm like thinking about it. Oh, well, it could be this. Well, it could be that. It also could be this and stuff like that. But that's not good for like rapid fire stuff. That's good for making videos because I can think, I'll think through a video very carefully and then post it. It's not good if you're in rapid fire debate anymore. So yeah, a younger D. Wood is pretty good. Smarter than JP, I don't believe at all. That dude is smart, whether you agree with him or not.
Depends on what you mean by smart.
Yeah, what do you mean by smart, eh? Do you mean drinks maple syrup? Because if that's so, then yeah, JP is better. IP, what do you think of Christian existentialism?
Nah, I don't. I think it's helpful in terms of building a proper worldview, but I don't think that's the end-all be-all for sure. I disagree with a lot of Kierkegaard stuff.
Go support Rebecca Bar Safe, everyone. Oh, hey, guys. Is she doing something special or just mean in general? IP, I think I speak for many here that we would be honored if you would allow us to financially bless you and your work for the Lord. We are here for you. See, I told you. I told you that. Dude, that's a done deal. You take whatever steps you need to get accepted. You don't even have to do the fundraiser. Tell me. I will personally do the fundraiser for you.
Sounds good. Right now, I'm still trying to get the ministry fully funded. So if people donate on the website, that'll help. And then when that's good, then we'll have Than on full board, and he'll be able to help with the ministry stuff so that I can focus on a PhD. So step 1, step 2. If the Inspiring Philosophy can get fully funded so Than can be on full time, because right now he's still only part-time, that'll really help us because then I'll have more time.
Yeah, hang on, look at this. Hang on. Whatever podcast should have Muhammad on and ask him for his body count. I bet he'll say 72 al-Zut. Hang on, I'm screenshotting that. That'll be for a video. What's your body count, bro? Well, there's this and then all these wives and all these sex slaves, and of course 72 al-Zut.
Do a boom boom room where Muhammad meets OnlyFans model and they talk about
Muhammad's body count. He won't know, so we'll start talking about all the people he killed. And they're like, no, we mean... Hey, look at this. An hour 20 into the stream and we still haven't seen one Jubilee clip yet. I know, isn't that funny? I have to say we are almost caught up. So hang on, I'm going to do these rapid fire. Can we start the clip, please? Yes, we are about to. Hang on. Al-Zut is another nail in the Islamic coffin, not going back from that. A bit like the trauma Ibn Masud had when waiting behind the P. Diddy line. God bless y'all. Yes, it's a nail in the coffin and a nail in Muhammad's behind. Matthew 24, 23 to 27. Stay awake. Do not be deceived. That is a good idea. IP, what did you think of the world's largest open prison? Glad to see you survived the Vegemite.
Blah.
Oh,
talk about Australia.
Man, Australia was fun. You guys check out Questioning Christianity. Dan Patterson hosted me. Great time down there. We did a lot of good stuff together. So yeah, good stuff.
Mm-hmm. It's funny because Vegemite was in that Men at Work song. He just smiled and gave me a Vegemite sandwich. I always thought that was like, because he says the lyrics are, I met a man from Brussels. He was 6'4", full of muscles. I said, do you speak my language? He just smiled and gave me a Vegemite sandwich. So he's talking about in Brussels. I thought it was like a weightlifting supplement, like some sort of protein drink or something. That's what I thought it was when I was a kid, Vegemite. And I was like, you poured this crap on it sounds like it, right? Vegemite sounds like some like vegetarian protein supplement or something like that. Hey, Turns out I looked it up eventually. When I looked it up, it said that actually happened. He was traveling the world from Australia and he's in Brussels and he's in a bakery and he asked the guy, do you speak English? And the guy heard his accent and he doesn't say anything, smiles and gives him a Vegemite sandwich. And so that was his yes. That's funny. Gadfly looking like it's ma'am, not man. That's true.
It's ma'am.
Hey, look. Hey, everyone, want to be clear here? Only 15% of the whatever podcast are involved in sex work, but 100% of Muhammad was. Mosques are so racist. Al-Zut entrance is in the rear. I'm screenshotting it. Do you guys have any advice? Because here's what's funny. I already made a bunch of jokes in my Al Zut video, but I have to do the follow-up. So these are all going to come in handy, guys. And keep in mind, I'm not going to give any credit, but you'll know when you see your joke. Do you guys have any advice to someone new to a Christian faith like myself? As much as I enjoy watching you guys destroying Islamic faith, I'm not sure the way to grow in Christ. Who's got the rapid fire?
Very simple. Very simple. You need to be in a church. You should be going every week. You should be in a weekly Bible study. You should have a good pastor who's going to be helping you grow. You should be surrounded by a good Christian community. You cannot grow alone. So start there. Do that. If you're not doing that, you're not going to grow, period. End of story. You need to be in a church. You should be going there every week. You should be going to church twice a week, well, at least a Bible study and church.
Yep. And read the Bible and get some good Christian friends to hang out with. That's the start. Do you guys have any advice to? Oh, hang on, I already read that. Oh, here, Josh, quit defending yourself. The point in me bringing up the 15% number was Andrew mostly debates non-sex workers. He mostly debates non-sex workers on that show, which goes against the claims that have been made here. The thumbnails have no relevance to that. Love y'all. God bless. Josh, you know we're joking, right? I want to be clear. We're joking.
I know I look really serious right now, but I'm actually not in a serious mood. So just to keep it clear.
Yeah. Matter of fact, I even said that with the jar. I made fun of him repeatedly in my video for not being able to open a jar. And I started off this show by pointing out that we've all been in that situation where we're trying to open a jar and it's hard to open. Guess what? Some jars are just really, really hard to open no matter how strong you are. So anyway, yes, we're joking. We're not joking about everything. We will gladly make fun of him. And in general, the principle of, oh, I'm going to go on the show with boobies. IP, why not Oxford? I'm at Oxford. Would love to see here.
Oh, yeah, because they don't allow you to do just a dissertation remote. From what I've been told from talking to people, Cambridge will allow that. So I'll double check with Oxford and Cambridge. Those are my two that I'd want to go to. But yeah, I would like to do a dissertation remote. Yeah, and not have to take classes, and I think Cambridge will allow that. Yeah. It's just very expensive.
Which, by the way, I mean, it makes sense. It's good that Cambridge and some other universities understand that. It's more common outside the U.S. than it is in the U.S., but it's like other universities in other countries understand. If you've gotten to the point where you're doing your PhD, you know how to read on your own, and you don't need us holding your hand and stuff like that in class to do your stuff.
Pretty much.
What do you think would happen if Muhammad was caught by the police and they said, "We have you surrounded"? Would he let them arrest him? Police say, "We have you surrounded." And he goes, "Ooh." There once
Why is he smiling?
Why is he smiling? Why are you smiling? There once was a man named Muhammad. He taught people not to get hammered. He put on a dress. With war made a mess. His child bride made him enamored. Yes, this is all true. This is all true. That's straight out of the Quran. Moen, I woke up in the middle of the night. I'm finally able to send a super. I need still to do the penance of Quran. Should I read the Spencer Critical one? Thanks for all you do. Yeah, it depends. If you just are trying to get through the Quran, there are a bunch of translations you could go to. If you want to be able to look up critical commentary and so on, then use that one. D-Wood, if you saw Mike Winger about to be violated by 72 Al Zut and you could easily save him without putting yourself in danger, what would you do?
Well, we want to spare the poor Al Zut people, you know?
All right.
Yeah, weird stuff. Play the video, bro. Wasting our time. Ugh.
Listen,
okay, but we're
tomorrow on my channel, we will play the video. I promise. We will not have this hooligan nonsense going on over here.
You're going to get the same thing. There's too much going on. Lily J was a failed musician, explains a lot. And finally, we are caught up right now. It's ma'am was the only time I felt bad for GameStop employee. Oh, that's where that was at GameStop? Okay, interesting. Yeah, I saw that. I recall that. All right, guys. We made it through about 1 million super chats. And we are an hour and a half into this stream, and we're actually going to get to the topic here. Okay, so guys, here's what I have prepared. Here's what I pulled up. So it's an hour and a half discussion. It's about an hour and a half. I took the section that is about Jordan Peterson saying that you can't derive morality from science, something along those lines, which is cool. So that's an important topic. But then I had to find the clip of that kid. I haven't even watched it, but I had to get the clip of that kid because he did something to really annoy Jordan Peterson. I did see somewhere in someone's video where he said, you're nothing or something like that. So anyway, and I saw that Jordan looked really annoyed at this kid. So we're going to go ahead and check that one out first and see how.
The reason why is Jordan says at the end, I think he alludes back to this. He says, I like conversations where the other person is not trying to win. It's very clear this kid is trying to win. That's what he wants. So Jordan just, I don't want to deal with you anymore.
And again, I probably watched like between 10 and 15 minutes of it, but I did see a couple of people where he's just having interest, like conversations with it. And he was happy with that. So yeah. He's not interested in this, I will humiliate you. They've got the atheist version of the Dawa guys where everything is like, I humiliated him.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what we're talking about.
Yeah, he's not interested, and this would just annoy someone like that. But here's the thing. If you know it would annoy someone like him, you can actually get that moment because you're gonna tick him off. All right. So
Hey, Dr. Peterson.
How are you doing?
Danny, nice to meet you.
What's your name?
Danny.
Danny.
You're saying atheists worship things or people or places, whatever. Can you be very clear about your definition of worship again?
Attend to, prioritize, and sacrifice for.
Okay, that's it. That's
even his face. Okay, that's it. That's it. IP, you were saying something about this guy. You're familiar with this guy? Was that you before the show?
Oh yeah, yeah. He tends to try to look for clips to show that he won something. That's like his MO. And so I kind of like. I was like, yeah, I don't want to really deal with him because like if that's your mentality, you're just here to try to get you in gotcha moments, and I think Peterson picked up on that pretty quickly.
I'm sure this has gotten him a little bit more of a following, but was he popular at all? Was he unknown or?
He had a decent following,
like on YouTube or on one of the TikTok or what?
I think. Well, when I interacted with him, it was on TikTok. So, but yeah, he's got a decent following there from what I remember. But yeah, there was some interaction, and people like in Philosopher's Garb, and then Tham, when he was on Exploring Reality, like came to my defense for that thing because that was just insanely stupid and ridiculous.
your understanding of worship.
Well, I could flesh it out, but that'll do for the time we have.
Okay. Do Catholics attend to Mary?
Yes.
Okay. So do they fit that description of worship?
Yes.
Oh
So
my
you
God.
would say
Look,
Catholics.
Hey. The dude just proved conclusively that you worship Mary. What's your problem? Don't get mad at him.
Look, when he asked Jordan Peterson his definition of worship, Jordan Peterson listed three things together. He said, to be very, very clear, attend to, prioritize, and sacrifice for. That's what he said. So he didn't say either of these things, right? If you just attend to, that doesn't mean that you worship by definition. He combined these three things as a basis for what constitutes worship, but he also said we could flesh it out, but this would be it for the time that we have. This kid now says, do Catholics attend to Mary? He says yes, well therefore they worship. No, that's not what Jordan Peterson claimed. That's not what Jordan Peterson said. You didn't even understand Jordan Peterson here.
Well, to be fair, Peterson just said yes. So we'll see. So you're still stuck with the fact that you worship Mary now, AP, given that Jordan has agreed.
People that revere Mary, like the Eastern Orthodox tradition, worship Mary.
Well, they might not put her in the highest.
Look at this dork. First of all, what's the point of this, right? The topic is, let's see, everybody worships something even though they might not know it. And this guy,
I'm going to go after Catholic.
But you would put it that way.
and this guy in the background,
He's getting him to go after Catholics. We're atheists.
Yeah, that's Parker.
how do you know these guys?
Listen, you got to know this kind of stuff when you do what I do.
IP keeps track of all the TikTok atheists.
You just said it. Now you're taking it back.
There's
now?
still a hierarchy.
Okay, there's a hierarchy, but within the
There's something at the top.
All right, you can worship things
Mary
below.
is quite a ways up the hierarchy, but not at the top.
Let's go over your definition of worship again. What's your definition of worship?
Attend to,
Attend to.
prioritize,
Do
and
Catholics
sacrifice for.
what do Catholics attend to? Do they prioritize Mary over all other human beings?
No, I
Hey, leave
didn't
out the-
say
why do you leave out the sacrifice?
overall, did I? I didn't
Well,
add that to my
you
definition.
understand-
I said there was a hierarchy as well.
You
Look at
you
this.
attend
So
a
you can
Catholic.
attend to
Look
something.
at this. Pause. Pause. Now this guy, this Danny, whatever, Danny, right?
Danny
Now Danny
Bonaducci.
realizes that he actually made a mistake, so he tries to fix it and add to the definition, but he still doesn't complete it. This is the issue. I didn't even listen to this part until watching this, to be very honest. But just listening to it right now, the people who act like this kid actually kind of destroyed or made Jordan Peterson look silly clearly don't even pay attention to the argument that is being made here.
Yeah, I haven't
Because-
seen it yet. I haven't seen any humiliation. I have to wait to see this. But yeah, go ahead.
The kid just misrepresented Jordan Peterson very, very clearly. He just he clearly twice misrepresented him and doesn't understand the definition that Jordan Peterson is giving.
AP, why wouldn't you make a short, quick video about that would like take you an hour to make from beginning to end and would do well right now? Because Jordan Peterson would probably share it.
I tell this kid that he's worshiping himself because he's attending to his own arguments, prioritizing himself, and sacrificing logic to try
There
to win
you
the
go.
debate.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd
That
have
makes
been like,
sense,
So attending to, eh? Let me ask you, Dr. Peterson, do you attend to your oral hygiene when you by brushing your teeth? Aha! So I've proven
You
that
worship your teeth.
You worship your teeth. And this is gonna be really big on TikTok. This is gonna blow up my TikTok channel
That's-
even more.
That's the kind of stuff he looks for. He just looks for those little sound bites. And like you can talk to my friend Tim on Dyslexic Mastery, his channel. He's similar experiences with that. Like you're dealing with someone who just wants to get those sound bites to use against you. Very similar to the Dawa guys.
your friend named his channel Dyslexic Mastery.
Yeah. What's wrong with it? Are you upset by that?
All right, here we go.
Thing trivially, or you can attend to it deeply.
And now
there's
you're
a-
adding stuff to the definition. But your original
I
definition,
added the hierarchy part.
You're not
at the
allowed to
beginning.
clarify.
are you,
just-
Yeah, he said you're adding stuff to the definition. You took stuff out of the definition, dude. So it's a problem.
Yeah.
Didn't understand it.
are you familiar with the Immaculate Conception?
Why is that relevant?
Because you go to a Catholic church, don't you? Or you've attended recently. You're interested in Catholicism, aren't you?
Sure,
All right. Are you familiar with their doctrines?
somewhat.
Okay, you're
Their
familiar.
doctrines are very
how do they
deep.
regard Mary?
Why are you asking me that?
Because you
That's what I'm wondering. Like, the claim is everybody worships something. Even if Jordan Peterson granted that he worships Mary, that would just be him worshiping something and would not conflict
Right,
with
yeah.
his claim, which is everybody worships something. To refute his claim, Danny, you'd have to show that some people don't worship something. That's what you'd have to do. You're not doing that at all, which is why this entire thing sucks. And it's like, this is, I'm guessing this is everything that's wrong with like TikTok atheism. It sounds like you guys have become like Dawa guys. You're looking for, you're
yes.
trying to give the impression that you did a good job when there's absolutely no substance to it. You're just trying to give the appearance, and that's all that matters to your fans. And they say, oh, you humiliated him.
Look, here's the thing. The entire reason why Jordan Peterson is making this point here, everybody worships something even though they might not know it, is not that anything that fits the definition of worship that he has just described here in some way or another worships those different things. The entire point here, which is why he brought up hierarchy just now, is people who believe in God and who worship God, they have something that is at the top of the hierarchy, and they worship that very being that is at the top of the hierarchy. If as an atheist you don't have God at the top of the hierarchy, then even as an atheist you worship something else that is on top of the hierarchy, even if it is not God. You replace that that person or that being at the top of the hierarchy with something else, which would be, in your case, for example, yourself or the world or desires or things like that. So the entire point here that Jordan Peterson is making, and the entire reason why he brings this up, is specifically that to somehow try to turn this around on somebody who believes in God and to say, but you also attend to these other, beings. Therefore, you worship them. Completely misses the entire point that Jordan Peterson is making, which just is a demonstration of the fact that this kid and many others like him don't even understand what somebody like Jordan Peterson or others are talking about when they say you also worship something.
And the context is a conversation too, right? So he's just kind of spitballing a definition. He's not writing like a doctor's thesis defending this as the definition of worship. And so if you say attending to, prioritizing, and sacrificing, and someone's like, well, don't you do that for your kid? And be like, oh, yeah, that's true. So obviously I need something else. There's some other variable. And then you bring in hierarchy, which is what he's trying to do. But the kid, he just wants to win. He doesn't care about a conversation.
Exactly.
Oh, no, you're adding to it. But that's how normal conversations go. You just clarify your position. He probably always thought hierarchy was part of it.
The atheist looks like he's from Stranger Things. He does. I saw that. My kids are watching. I saw that. Hey, hang on. This kid was once me. Actually, no joke. You watch one video on the internet and you're a pro at debating. Yeah, that is a common thing.
It wouldn't make sense that it was actually once you, because then you still would be that kid. So,
yeah, you'd still be a little dork. How about Jordan Peterson joining a live stream? Did you already make him this offer? Apologetics Roadshow? No, it's never crossed my mind. I've said before, I don't go around inviting. I don't go around trying to get like super popular people on with me. I normally go with my friends. And normally it's if I think I can help someone else, whatever they're trying to do. If I can help someone else get attention or something like that, I'm always thinking like, okay, hey, this person has some overlap with my audience, and therefore I should get this person over. That way, anyone who's interested in what this person is saying can then follow that person and stuff like that. I think that's good. But no, I've just never been interested in inviting the super popular people on and stuff like that. Like Tommy, I'd be interested in having on, but that's also because I think when he goes on shows, it actually helps him because lots of people have an idea about him that's been manipulated by the media. And so it actually helps him the more people he's exposed to and stuff like that. And the more people hear from him directly and stuff like that. So even though he's famous, there are people like that. But there's nothing there's no help I can offer Jordan Peterson. So yeah, he can go do his thing.
You're a Christian.
You say that. I haven't claimed that.
Oh, what is this? Is this Christians versus atheists?
I don't know.
You don't know where you are right now.
Don't be a smartass.
Well,
and I mean
either you're a
'cause I
Christian
won't
or you're
talk
not.
to you if you're a
Look at him, and then he's talking down. Bad idea. I can tell right. I can tell it's not much longer, but you can already tell this guy's already talking down. And this idiot's laughing in the back.
You don't know where you are right now.
Don't be a smartass.
Well,
and I mean
either you're a
'cause I
Christian
won't
or you're
talk
not.
to you if you're a smartass.
Either you're a Christian or you're not. Which one is it?
I could be either of them, but I don't have to tell you.
You don't have to tell me. I was under the impression
private.
I was invited to talk to a Christian.
To be fair, that's true. So that is an issue, but that's not on you or Jordan. That is on whoever runs his Jubilee stuff.
Yeah. Here's the thing. So the title of the video when the Jubilee published it was "One Christian versus 20 Atheists," featuring Jordan Peterson. Later, they changed the title of the video into "Jordan Peterson versus 20 Atheists." From this video, as he points out, also you're not a Christian, and the crowd then laughs. So people in the back are laughing. It seems that this was already agreed upon. So the people that were invited were probably invited to have a discussion about one Christian versus 20 atheists. The issue is, I wonder how much Jordan Peterson was actually made aware of this. I wonder where.
That's the issue. Has he clarified that? Like, hey, they just said, hey, will you come on and talk to 20 atheists?
No, but it seems like Jubilee messed up somewhere.
It does seem like that. It really seems like that.
And somebody needs to make a clarification about this.
That's what I mean. It's based on the little bit of information that I've seen. It looks like Jordan Peterson was asked, hey, would you be interested in coming on Jubilee and sitting with 20 atheists and having discussions? And Jordan Peterson's like, well, yeah, great. Hey, we'll sit there and drink Tim Hortons coffee and it'll be great. And I'll get my ideas out and I'll tell them about the Bible. But then Jubilee goes to these guys, hey, you guys want to all attack a Christian? And they're like, yeah. And then they put them all together in a room. And then there's confusion about what's going on. That's what it seems like. So if that's not what it seems like, because maybe they told Jordan, and you're going to be the Christian on the show or something like that, and he just missed it or something like that. But it's basically, to what extent is Jubilee itself to blame for this big screw up here? Because it is messed. It is, dude. It's seriously messed up. You could have just fixing that ahead of time would have made a lot of this quite different.
Yeah.
And you would have avoided some of this stuff.
I mean, I'd love to sit in the middle of one of these, but to be on the outside, I mean, like, that's a horrible position to be in. I would never want to be on the outside of one of these.
Yeah.
I feel like he's just kind of shutting everything down, because it's just like, because he feels like no matter what he says, the other interlocutor is just looking for a way to attack him. He's like, no, I'm not that. I don't need to tell you that. So it's like, I don't even know if we're really seeing where he is now. I mean, I haven't kept up perfect tabs on where he is in his faith journey, but I know he always seems to be perpetually getting closer and closer to becoming a Christian, like that scene from Monty Python where they're always getting closer to the castle, but they're never quite moving. Have y'all seen that movie, Monty Python?
Oh yeah, his buddy got hit with an arrow, and then he's like, he decides to charge the castle by himself, and he keeps showing the same.
That's
scene of
Jordan
him
Peterson's faith journey. He's like always,
dude. How have you not made that a little like X clip or something like that? Jordan Peterson's faith journey.
Yeah.
What's funny is at the end they all they do is they keep seeing him running towards him from the distance, and then all of a sudden he's right on them and stabbing the crap out of them. But that'll be like Jordan's like full conversion, right?
That's what I think it'll be like. Yeah.
Funny. Nice.
The thing is, as far as I understand it, as far as I know, but correct me if I'm wrong, anybody, but Jordan Peterson never publicly claimed to be a Christian. So he never actually said the words that he's a Christian. I think he did say at some point that the claim that Jesus is God is true in some sense.
And he said Jesus rose from the dead.
Yes, but then again, he kind of got a little bit vague when following up on that, but I think he never actually said that he's a Christian. And it doesn't strike me as something that Jordan Peterson would, when asked directly at this point, agree to, which is why it makes me think that Jubilee messed this up.
I think Jubilee messed this up too. All right, here we go.
Into a Christian.
No, you were invited to.
I think everyone should look at the title of the YouTube channel. You're probably in the wrong YouTube video.
You're really quite something, you are.
Aren't I? But you're really quite nothing, right? You're not a Christian.
Okay, I'm done with him.
Wow. Dude, you had a chance to have a discussion with Jordan Peterson.
But that's not what he wants.
Acted like a total douche.
That's not what he wants. Look at all the atheists around him. Look at how, oh my God, he got Jordan Peterson. That's what he's after. He's after those sound bites where he looks like he won something for his tribe and pisses off everyone else outside of the tribe. He's not there.
It's Dawa level. It's the exact same dynamic as Dawa. You can say absolutely nothing, but as long as you're like, oh, that's it. That's all that matters, and mission accomplished.
That's the thing. This is why I posted about this as well. So people are posting this clip. This went viral. It's all over the media now. It has millions of views on Twitter and all that. And this kid destroyed Jordan Peterson. But the thing is, what this reminds me of precisely and specifically is high school. Like when some kid in high school, bullies or roasts the teacher, and then the people are like, whoa, and then the guy feels cool for a second, but then he hasn't actually achieved anything. It's just a stupid memory that remains for the kid, but he hasn't actually achieved any single thing at all. Did they get to a proper point? Did he make a point for atheism? Did he refute Christianity? Did he refute Jordan Peterson? None of these things happened.
Did he refute the claim?
Yeah, nothing
Did he show that his Jordan Peterson's claim that everyone worships something is false? No.
Nope.
Guess what? it's actually an important claim if he's right. And if he's wrong, it's important to show him that he's wrong on that issue, because that is becoming an increasingly important issue as you had all these people become these dopey little atheists. What happens, they start clinging to other things, various political ideologies and various groups and so on, and becoming radicalized, like completely obsessed and ready to lay down lives and stuff for this cause and so on that they've attached to. And so it's like, it's kind of an important discussion, and you're nothing. I got followers on TikTok. Me on TikTok. Oh, me strong than you. What a dork, man.
Yeah, I was totally like, just sort of like, yeah, this is just, I think AP has a really good analogy. This is really cool to all the kids in high school. But anyone who's actually like trying to like find an actual conclusion here, there's nothing that was gained there other than just looks like I won Dawa level nonsense.
Yeah.
Yeah, AP, I would, again, that is a video that would take you like an hour. Here's what Jordan Peterson said his definition was. Here's how the kid took part of it, ran with it. This is lame.
Could just clip it, man. We already did it right here. See?
It would be better if it's just you speaking. It'd be like a 3 or 4 minute video. It would be powerful. It would do well, better than just clipping what we said here. It would do better, especially on X. It would go around rapidly.
That's true.
Of course it's true.
You may have noticed that I'm making that I tweet less elaborate stuff, but just do like random commentary here and there. I think it's because I have been more focused on different things just now.
Yeah, being a cat human.
And want to get back to stuff like that in a short while.
All right. So now, guys.
My next claim is that morality.
So how it works, I think there are 4 claims, and then someone gets to make a claim back at you or something like that at the end. But I think he did 3 or 4.
3.
Huh?
I thought he did 3 sections that were 20 minutes long. I may have done 4. I don't remember.
I
now.
think he did 4. I'm going to look that up real quick,
yeah.
just for general principle, just so everyone knows, because we're not going through a couple of the sections. We're going through one section. Jordan Peterson, Jubilee. Hey, did someone talk about that? Oh, that's on Valuetainment. Are you a Christian? Jordan Peterson's Jubilee debate backfires on faith and marriage. Huh, interesting. So let's see. Claim 1 was atheists reject God, but they don't understand what they're rejecting. Claim 2 is this one. Morality and purpose can't be found within science. Claim 3, everybody worships something, including atheists, even though they might, I don't see the rest of it, might not realize it or something like that. And then, he had a claim 4. Atheists accept Christian morality, but deny the religion's foundational stories.
That's a very good. That's a thing that we love too, right? I think we talked about pretty much as well several times.
Did you guys see Tom Holland roasting Rationality Rules on X?
Yeah, I did see that.
I've never seen him trash talk anybody.
Well, here's what happened: is Rationality Rules made a video of him saying this guy is like a prop, like attacking him and saying the Christians use him and he lies, he does all this stuff. Typical Rationality Rules propaganda. He even has me in the video. Like from a time when I was on Timcast, and Rationality Rules like doubled the amount of times I said Tom Holland to make it sound like I was just obsessed with him because he's a propaganda artist. But then Tim O'Neill wrote an article defending Tom Holland and just demonstrated that Rationality Rules didn't even read his book, had no clue what Tom Holland even argued, and then Tom just retweeted it with some of his own words. So it was pretty great.
Wow.
Yeah, I only watched Rationality Rules once, and we reviewed it. It was the worst, most deceptive response to anything that I've ever seen in my entire life. So I posted this like long, basically Defense of the Resurrection for Easter. I posted it on Easter, and he took like the first minute and a half, which was just me introducing the topic, and not me laying out everything and just me introducing the topic, he starts going, oh, but he didn't prove this. He didn't prove this. And he's got this deck, Logic the Gathering cards, where he flips these cards. Like, he's going, oh, that's a fallacy. That's a fallacy. That's a fallacy. I'm like, we're sitting there watching it. I'm like, I haven't made a single argument. I'm introducing the topic, and he's saying, oh, I'm making all these logical fallacies in my arguments. You haven't even gotten to the arguments. And then he gets through just my introduction, but he acted like that was my video, that I made this, that I just said a couple of things and didn't offer any proof for it. And there's all these fallacies in it. And then I'm like, I'm not interested in ever seeing anything that guy says again or responding to anything, which then later on, he actually went through the rest of the video in like a 4-hour stream, and everybody's like, David, you have to watch him. What are you, and then his fans are you running from him? Are you running? It's like, guys, you can whine all you want. There is no scenario where I'm interested in going back and seeing anything that guy says. If you are stupid enough to follow someone like that, you deserve everything you get. You deserve to be led astray. You deserve to have your head filled with idiotic nonsense if that's the guy you follow.
He decided to do a whole video on a YouTube post I made. He didn't, and I referenced my debates. He didn't even watch them. And then like Fan and I went on my channel and reviewed his video and demonstrated from his own sources that he was bringing up in his video that they were contradicting his own conclusions. So he didn't even read his sources properly. And Fan did a great job tracking down his sources because he didn't give proper citations. So we just show how his own sources disagreed with him. So that's just the level of research we're talking about here.
And then he's got that stupid haircut. Looks like looks like a gay guy trying to look like a medieval warrior or something like that. It just doesn't work anyway. Doesn't work. All right. So Jordan Peterson's claim here, claim number 2, morality and purpose cannot be found within science. I agree completely. It's just the crowd that we've seen here. I don't know if they're going to understand or
they always try to squeeze in utilitarianism some kind of way. So we'll see.
Yeah. And that's the thing. I don't even know if this is I don't know if this format for things is the best for establishing that point. Let me put it differently. I think a better format, like seriously, people, if anyone has any connections at Jubilee, I know maybe they like doing things like this and so on, or for someone if someone else who wants to do a different show, but better. So if someone wants to do a similar show, but better, here's how you do it. You give the person there 10 minutes to explain his position and lay out a defense of his position. Like, here's what I'm claiming, here's my reasoning, and so on. Give him like 10 minutes to lay out a case, and then let everyone come up one at a time, rush in to blast his points. But then it's not like just people missing things and going off on tangents and something like that. The point will have been made, and then people get to jump up and play skeptic about it. I think that would be superior to him making a claim and then a bunch of people sometimes just not addressing the claim and going off on tangents and never getting anywhere.
Someone tell James what is it? James of Modern Day Debate. He should do that. He should do like a version of that where he does that specifically.
I think James was planning on doing something like this.
Yeah, he could do it like that though. That'd be better.
Yeah. Hey. Someone tell James something like that on the Islamic dilemma. You know what I mean?
Or someone tell you. You could just message James.
Yeah, that's true. I could. But yeah, so in that situation, you get like 10 Muslims, like someone lays out like a 10-minute version of the Islamic dilemma, and then rapid fire. Come with your objections. Come with your objections. Rapid fire. Let's see what happens. So yes, things like that. I think that would be a massive improvement over this format. Because basically, this has just become the only purpose of the show is gotcha stuff at this point. And who's seriously going to want to be doing this forever? Okay, so his claim, morality and purpose cannot be found within science. I agree. You're talking about two completely different domains here.
And purpose cannot be found within science.
Well, they're all going.
What is up, Mr. Canada?
How you doing, man?
I'm doing great.
What's
How are
your
you?
name?
Brian. I think it's interesting that you say that morality and purpose can't be found in science. Actually,
No, within science.
Sure.
Yeah.
Purpose, I actually grant you, because purpose is subjective, right? Unless you want to boil it down to the purpose of life is just to procreate, right? Sure, whatever.
Purpose is subjective. And then he brings up, unless you're just saying the purpose is to procreate or something like that. Trying to think. So it's on the topic of teleology or something like that. I'm trying to think, because he's interpreting it as, you just mean like a purpose in someone's head. Or is there like a purpose to, is there a purpose to life? Is there a purpose to my life or something like that? There it's like goal directed. Is there some, am I a goal directed thing? It seems like you have to clarify exactly what you mean by purpose to avoid.
I think.
Go ahead,
I think what he's saying is that meaning or purpose to life is subjective. There is no objective meaning to life or purpose in life, except if you want to argue that that there is a natural objective meaning to life, which is just about continued procreation. That's what he is saying. But the thing is, even in that case, it would be subjective.
Both with morals and purpose, it's not a description of the way things are, but the way things should be. And a should statement could only exist in a mind. And so I don't know how you could get ethics or purpose without it being created in a mind. And then you would need to have a mind that has power and authority over everyone in order for it to be objective in the sense that it's true for everyone. But I don't even know how you would distinguish purpose from morality. I guess we could just listen to him, but I feel like it's probably not going to make sense.
Yeah, it needs to be clarified. Like, I can say, what's the purpose of this cup? Because it was made for a purpose. It was made to do something, right? There's something that it's meant to do. But then I can have, my purpose here, and that would be subjective. But then there's a sense in which, like, okay, do human beings have a purpose, even in a biological sense? Like Richard Dawkins would say, yes. He famously said that human beings are machines for propagating DNA. Like that's what your purpose is as far as biology. And he said it's the only one. It's your only purpose from a biological perspective, and so on. Anyway, but yeah, I'm assuming Jordan Peterson is thinking something more than that.
Even that would just have to be because of its explanatory power. Because if you're a physicalist, everything's just going by the laws of physics. So you can't even really say that it's trying to procreate. It's just the laws of physics makes it the case such that these things try to procreate. If that makes sense.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's saying that because he believes in the blind watchmaker, right? That you are being designed. You are being designed in a sense by trial and error, natural selection and so on. But that you actually do have a purpose, but your purpose is to propagate a molecule, right? You have a molecule within you, and it has basically, your entire body is the product of trial and error, whose purpose is to be better at propagating that molecule. I made a video criticizing that for a long time ago, where I pointed out that atheists have the lowest birth rates, and therefore atheism destroys the one purpose that you have, according to Richard Dawkins. Anyway, might want to revisit that sometime because I thought that was funny. But here we go.
Morality is actually something that we do see. We actually have examples of Neanderthals, an older individual was found in a tribe, missing an arm, missing teeth, still alive, somehow in his 40s, 50s, right? Typically.
What's this dork nodding at? That's what I understand someone not getting a point, making a wrong point, but when the other atheist was like, that's a great point. It's like, no, he didn't even understand the point yet.
He's big into Neanderthal rights.
Yeah. It's not saying that there was no concept of you don't have a moral obligation that you discover scientifically. You don't discover a moral obligation or a moral value with a telescope or a microscope. It's in a different domain. So what is that domain? Because it's not. And the point there is you had, for all these years, you had atheists, we only believe in what science shows. Okay, do you believe it's wrong to murder? Yes, of course. Okay, where are you getting that from? Because you didn't get it from science. You didn't find that. You didn't find that in a lab, dummy.
Here's an analogy why his argument doesn't work. It would be like being able to prove that Neanderthals believed in ghosts. So we have this evidence that Neanderthals used to believe in ghosts.
Yeah.
Well, that doesn't prove that the ghosts are provable by science. It's just showing that Neanderthals believed in it.
Yeah, we're not talking about an organism. Here are organisms that behaved in a way that we would regard as moral. It's if you're looking at that behavior and saying that's moral or that behavior is better than this, science is not telling you that is better or that is more moral. That's something else. It seems like this guy is just thinking in terms of well, I can show that people did, other things did behave morally or something like that. But yeah, we'll see.
Hey, Christian Gafflight, people in the chat think you're trans.
It's ma'am.
Hey, listen here, sir. All right, here we go.
You're a Neanderthal, you can't eat, you can't hunt, you die, right? But we know that members of his tribe were taking care of him, right? So we know that at some level, early in our evolutionary history, we actually developed altruism. We have examples of chimpanzees who actually have a basic understanding of fairness, right? If you give a chimpanzee 2 grapes, right, and his buddy gets 3, right? He actually freaks out, right? But you give both chimps 3 grapes and they're good. We have examples of parrots.
Except for the greedy chimps.
Except for the greedy chimps.
Yeah, this is a guy. He's clearly smart. He's clearly done a lot of studying on this issue. It's just not the real issue. So anyway,
Yeah.
he hasn't understood the fundamental issue.
You can apply it to the ghost thing. And then the other thing is
repeat your ghost example for everyone.
The ghost example was you're talking about Neanderthal. Oh, if you prove that chimpanzees believed in ghosts, that doesn't prove scientifically that ghosts exist. So just because you're able to prove that these animals believe that morals exist, that doesn't prove scientifically that the morals exist. And also, observational data you can collect just by looking at contemporary humans and see that they believe in morals. That still doesn't prove that morals exist. His example is no better than just because it's ancient animals versus contemporary humans, it doesn't give him any kind of epistemological advantage to making his argument. It's either way, it would be the same argument. You're just observing people believe in morals. It'd be like, I've observed a guy who believes he's Elvis. That doesn't prove scientifically the guy's Elvis.
Hey guys, my wife is not home. She went to a funeral today and she's coming back on a plane, and I hear my youngest son running around downstairs, and I realize I was supposed to put him to bed and he's running around. So we'll play a couple more seconds of this and then you guys can talk about it while I go put a kid to bed, because it's past his bedtime and it's a school night. But let's watch a little more.
They want 4 graves. Those do exist, right? But we have similar examples where we do animal tests, right?
So morality is intrinsic.
I think.
So it precedes science.
I think that actually a better way to define it would be that social animals, which we are, right, require some level of morality or.
Into what? I'm not disagreeing.
Sure.
Why do they require that?
Because it's.
And IP, I'm assuming you can break down like the is-ought distinction for everyone that this guy's missing. It's like just because you behave in a certain way and just because it's useful, that is not the same thing that we're talking about when we talk about morality. But we'll let him go a little longer here and then.
Only way that social groups can actually survive, right?
That's my point with regards to science. Thank you very much.
Is that?
Precisely the point that you just made, that science has to exist within a moral framework that isn't in itself scientific.
How's that not scientific?
Well, because it's not derived from the scientific process, as you just indicated.
It doesn't need to derive from the scientific process. It's the fact that we are social animals, so we need that to exist as a group.
I
right?
agree, but you pointed to the morality of Neanderthals, to the morality of chimpanzees. They didn't derive that from science.
They don't need to. That's not how that works.
That's my point.
They didn't need to. Got that. All right. You guys break things down for them.
Yeah, this guy doesn't seem to understand the problem here. He's just telling the audience that, people have experienced morality, they engage in morality, they do morality. That is not the issue. You just can't go back in the past and be like, oh, yeah, we find other people engaging in morality. You're just describing things. Morality is about prescriptions. The question is, where did those prescriptions come from. They don't come from science, obviously. This guy, it's like he's not even on the same wavelength as Peterson on this issue. He's just like, he doesn't even understand the issue, the philosophical conundrum of the is-ought fallacy. All he's describing is what is happening with Neanderthals or with humans or with chimpanzees. That doesn't explain the oughts. Where are these oughts coming from? They're obviously not coming from science. He doesn't get this basic issue. He needs to study philosophy more in depth, because it seems like he knows a ton about science. He doesn't understand the philosophical issues at all.
Do you want to say something?
I was blind to this when I was an atheist, because like him, you just kind of you don't realize it, but you're presupposing that morals exist already. And the only way to shake me out of it was reading the work of an atheist named John Gray. And he wrote a book called Straw Dogs. And in the book, he's basically arguing that you can't hold to the idea that there's morals and a greater purpose and that there's no God. We're basically just animals. And I was able to listen to this guy's arguments at that moment in my life. I was very closed off to like Christian arguments. And so to hear it from an atheist saying you can't have morals on an atheistic worldview was really powerful for me. And it kind of made sense the more you think about it, because think of it like this. I might tell my daughter, you need to go to bed by 10 p.m. And that's an ought statement. It's not a description of the way things are. It's not something you prove up in a lab by doing a measurement of something's mass or how long it is. It's an intentionality that can only be created by a mind, an ought, that she should go to bed at 10 p.m. And it's not made out of matter and energy. It's not made out of electrons and protons. It's not a description of the way things are. It's something that should happen, a potential in the future. And it can only exist if I have the authority to impose that on her, if I have the ability to have the knowledge of what she's doing, if she really did go to bed or not, and for me to have like the power to enforce my rules. Well, okay, so with that groundwork, how do you have a moral law that applies to everyone? And so the only way you can end up getting to something like that is you have to have a mind. And it has to be an all-powerful mind with authority over everyone. And it needs to have the ability to instantiate its will in the world. And people have been living in Christian waters for so long that they don't realize all the groundwork of morals that comes from God. But Nietzsche saw this. And that's why when he says that God is dead, all he can replace it with is the will to power, which is just all that exists is power. It doesn't matter what's true. It doesn't matter what's good or evil. Just if you're, let's say there's no God for a moment and I have a gun and I want your money. It doesn't matter if, what's good or evil. You're going to give me the money because I have the gun, right? So all there is that will to power. But if there's a God, he can put in this rule that's like, be kind to widows and orphans, protect the weak, etc.
Morality is still one of those issues where I have big difficulties with, because I think I went into that also with David, like in private and in public. We went into that very, very much on our disagreements on morality. But I think so. I can agree with this guy here who's arguing with Jordan Peterson to a certain extent, but he's missing something. I could say that I could totally agree with him on the idea that, which is basically the point that you guys were also making, that you can find moral behavior in nature. You can find moral patterns in nature. You can find moral behavior among animals that don't really need morality, but they seem to develop some sort of morality. You can also come up with certain moral rules simply based on what nature requires. You live in a world with other humans. You become social animals, social beings. In order to have a properly functioning society, you have to somehow develop moral rules to live together with your neighbors and not to randomly murder each other, not to rob each other, to live in safety with each other, because you want to feel safe. You want want to flourish. You don't want to establish or contribute to a world where people just, stab and take from each other. So in order not to do that, you establish certain moral rules. You could argue that that you can find this in nature, but then the issue is the morals that develop as a result of this would be very arbitrary, and in an atheistic worldview, you would be under no obligation at all to follow those rules if you are not interested in participating in society, for example. So you could completely take on a very self-absorbed and completely egotistic and psychopathic worldview and say, oh yeah, we should probably abide by certain rules if we want to live in peace. I don't want to live in peace, however. I just want to take whatever I want to take. And there is no conscience. There is no greater being that keeps you in check. There is no greater being that holds you responsible. So you don't have to follow by those morals that humans just came up with because of out of necessity. So you can just become amoral and immoral and psychopathic. You could, however, get around this if you, for example, believe in Christianity, which has a moral system that doesn't just depend on society, that doesn't just depend on necessity, that doesn't depend on nature, that is directly instilled by a greater being that is beyond us. And maybe, just maybe, the fact that moral behavior exists in different species is not a point against, morality in the religious sense. Maybe it is a point for morality in the religious sense. Maybe humans were created to develop or to have moral behavior because that is what they are required to do or expected to do by the God that created them.
Yeah, it's this idea of moral progress. Is that we're just like you can have different societies have different views about science and the way the world works. We're still moving towards something that is objective. It's not like we didn't invent science or math. We're discovering the way the world works. The simple question asked to this guy is, when Neanderthals were developing morality, were they doing it via science? No, therefore Peterson is right. He doesn't get that basic point, though.
Powerful.
Indeed. Well, mission accomplished. Kid successfully in bed. The problem is I have this mute button, and then but now whenever I think muted, I think I'll zooted. It's just like taking over. And then I think, it'd be messed up to have a zoot button.
I'm going to start using that as a euphemism for like effing up something. Oh man, I out-zooted that video.
That's good, because we need alternatives, right? We need alternatives that have this same rough meanings and so on. Ayo, AP.
Yes.
Got a message from our friend Abdullah Samir. I don't know what time zone he's in. What time were you planning on going live on your channel on Thursday? Was that 8?
Yes.
Okay, so he said 7. So he is in Central Time Zone. But he's asking if 4:30 to 6:30 works on his channel. So that would be 5:30 to 7:30 on his channel, and then your channel at 8.
Yeah.
Does that work?
And IP wanted to go live earlier that day anyway, so IP could just keep that earlier time, and we can go live with Abdullah Samir on his channel. That works, yeah. Cool. Works.
That works. So I can message him and say this works.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. I have ex-Muslims on my channel this Thursday.
Powerful.
All right, there we go. Wait, what's going on?
Oh, I'm bringing 2 ex-Muslims on my channel. We're going to look at some Muslim videos.
Okay.
Sharik Khan and Ishmael, who was on
you mentioned that. Yeah, that's cool. That's a good idea.
You're going to have Sharik Khan on your channel, the actor?
You're going to have Shaka Khan on your channel, the singer?
Shaka Khan!
All right, here we go.
Explains it.
So science doesn't explain morality.
It doesn't explain how social animals would need to be.
Well, that's
altruistic.
a complicated question.
But we see it though.
Yeah, but explaining the evolution of morality and explaining morality itself aren't the same thing.
Okay, so you're asking why does this happen?
Yes, that's more accurate.
Because we're social animals.
But there's more to it than that.
Is there?
Sure. For example, so we're moral animals that have a sense of the future.
Sure.
Okay, that makes us unique. And that structures our morality?
No, actually, there are other animals that can predict the future. Or not,
Not
predict
really.
the future. No, tigers. Actually, there was a tiger at the SF Zoo that
This guy's not incorrect in what he's saying. He's just not understanding what Jordan Peterson is saying. So when human beings are making moral decisions based on future outcomes, he says, no, tigers can do that. Yeah, a tiger has some awareness. If I go do this, then this can happen. That's not what Jordan Peterson is talking about. Anyway.
killed somebody. And so
Hunting
actually,
animals.
No. Kids threw shit at the tiger. The tiger actually plotted its escape, and it found the
I'm not
kids.
saying that animals can't
Oh my
think.
God.
Okay,
No, but
let's
they can
pause here.
perceive the future. That's what I'm saying.
Well-
Voted out by the majority.
Thank you, man.
Good man. Yeah.
You're muted, dude.
Wait, he's been voted out by the. Is that how it works? They vote him out because they don't like
Yeah,
him?
the way it works
A
is
certain
like,
number of people raise their flags, and once it's I thought it was like once it's 3 or something. You're saying once it's a majority of people say hold up their flag and say this guy's got to go.
there's like 20,
Is
so
it-
if 11
This-
flags go
this
up,
guy's
boom, he's
dumb.
out.
This guy's dumb. Let him go. Is that what they do? Basically.
Yeah, if there's 20 flags. If 11 go up, that's the majority, and he's out. And so yeah, that's why I hate the format. But yeah, it was a smart decision by the majority because he wasn't on the topic.
Yeah, he wasn't understanding the point at all. Yeah.
All right. Any final thoughts on this? I thought the guy's smart and he's knowledgeable in his field, but he doesn't understand.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
I want to say morals from evolution because I teased that idea back when I was an atheist, and that doesn't work either. Because it would be like everything about the human experience is from evolution. So even the joy you get from killing someone if you're a murderer, that is the product of evolution. Or stopping yourself from doing a sneeze, is that evil to stop a sneeze? Well, that's just as much the product of evolution as, giving to the poor and then feeling good inside of yourself because of some chemical reaction. So evolution is just like a campfire. It's just this really, really big chemical reaction. It can't really have this mentality of a view of what's good and what's evil, this intentionality. It's just a bunch of is statements. It can't really tell you what you ought to do. And just because something would benefit the race, he keeps talking about, well, it would benefit the race if we all work together. Okay, well, that doesn't make it good to do that.
That is correct.
It's just an is.
That's
statement.
a fallacy.
It's-
That's the is-ought fallacy.
yeah.
I can give a couple more examples. So, lions. When a lion moves into another pride of lions, so it has ended up in a fight with the lion boss of another tribe, and it moves into that tribe to take over. It will kill all the
It's called
baby
the
lions.
Lion King, man.
Yeah. It will kill all the lion babies from that pride to make room for its own babies because there's scarcity of resources. So it will kill all the baby lions to make room for its own offspring with all its new lion babes. So it's wired to do that, and it helps that lion preserve its own offspring, helps it propagate, helps it be a good machine for propagating DNA. Would you say it's moral? No, I wouldn't say it has anything to do with morality. It's just, it's wired to do that. Well, guess what? If you're saying what we mean by moral is like what we're wired to do or something, like, okay, that's the is-ought fallacy. You're saying this is the way things are. That does not tell you it's moral. In fact, if you want to get your mind around the idea, imagine a different world. This is actually easy thought experiment. Imagine a different world where there was some genetic mutation and all females of human beings developed a mutation where they absolutely hate and refuse to have sex. They will not, under any circumstances, agree to have sex. Who's
Nothing would
going?
change for Nick Fuentes.
That's true. Nick Fuentes' life would be completely undisturbed. But so here's the thing: who's going to reproduce in that scenario? Grapists. That's who's going to reproduce, right? Because guys who say, oh, well, the women are refusing, therefore nothing we can do about it. And the guys who are going around, no, I will go, I'll bang whoever I want, right? Those are the guys who would reproduce. If you had an entire world where females refused to have sex, the only people who would reproduce would be grapists, all right? Now, but here's the thing. If only grapists were reproducing, then the next generation is going to be the product of all grapists. And guess what? The ones who reproduce most will be the best grapists, right? The better you are at doing that, the more offspring you will produce. What's that mean? It means each generation is going to produce better and better grapists until you have like the best, most amazing grapists who've ever lived, and they can just grape thousands of women and stuff like that. Those are the ones who are going to those are the ones who will be selected by natural selection, right? Here's the thing. You would get to a point where, guess what? That's for the benefit of the species. It's the only thing keeping the species going. Mm-hmm. Would you therefore say that graping women is moral? No, you're in a completely different category. Here's something that helped my species reproduce. Therefore, the behavior is moral. No, you're in completely different realms there. Anyway, wanted to point that out. All right, so he's got this guy now. Let's take a couple super chats real quick because some of them are funny. Funding for IP's Hijab's Cambridge. You know about Muhammad Hijab's Cambridge school?
No, I don't. No.
Oh, that's a thing that came out. Apparently, Muhammad Hijab's dad was a total con artist, and he had his Cambridge school where you send him money and he sends you a degree, and they copied the Cambridge logo and stuff like that, but they name it something else. It's Cambridge such and such, but they have a logo that looks similar and so on. But it's just like, hey, yeah, I wanted a degree in this, and then you send them money, and anyway. So Hijab apparently learned the grift game from his dad long before he ever got into Dawah. Cop, you're surrounded. Mo, raise his butt, not hands. What's wrong? Annoying super chat just to waste time. Good job, Bo Rudder. Giovanni says, Mo, stay behind this line. Walks into the darkness, gets railed. Yeah, that is crazy, right? The Diddy line. Mm-hmm. David, is it true you did a blood mubahala? Yeah, well, I did a mubahala and I signed it in my blood. I think I put like a bloody fingerprint with my signature or something like that to signify that I'm serious. But yes, I did. I've still got that in like a filing cabinet. I still got the contract in a filing cabinet. We'll break that out one day and see what happened. JP is losing it, asking about is, believe, happened, all metaphors. That's right. That's JP. You got to give the 20 angry atheists credit. They managed to avoid uttering Sky Daddy a single time. That would have been funny if one of them just sits down and starts going, why do you believe in a Sky Daddy? Bro said to Catholics, Bro said, do Catholics attend Maui? Giovanni says, JP, what does that have to do with anything? The kid, because you go to a Catholic church. Why is everyone making fun of Danny, man? Bonaducci. Muhammad went to the Indus Valley sword in hand and demanded to the Al-Zut, I demand all of you to give me your jizya. Worst communication ever. I'm stealing that one too. People don't realize I get like half my jokes from people in Super Chat, and then I use them in my videos, and people are like, David, you're so hilarious. How can you be this funny? AP is at the top of my hierarchy. That's Sean Moss. Hey, Isa, what I learned in school is humility and curiosity. That would be good, because that's the opposite of what some of these atheists learn. Jordan Peterson, during sex. Wife, Jordan, go harder. Jordan, all right, but only if you're prepared to face the chaos you're about to unleash. And maybe help me. What's wrong with people, man? Talking about Amir. You got a weird mind. I love how JP talks to them like he's their dad. He's such a sweetheart. Lol, these nerds didn't deserve to talk to him. So disrespectful. He got the nerds right. Snap. Y'all got epic rap battles of philosophy on tonight. Yep. Mike Jones. D. Wood, you're a great strategist, a great guy to have as a friend, the worst guy to have as an enemy, e.g. Islam. Yeah, I am good at bringing down Islam because I'll plan for decades and then do it all. D. Wood versus 72 Hories. As long as they're not El Zoot. God forgive me, but Parker has such a punchable face. I don't know what it is, but it just screams punch. Who's Parker? Is that Danny? Is his name Danny Parker?
No.
Who's Parker?
Parker is one of the other guys that was on.
Parker. He has a punchable name too, man. Parker just sounds like, hi, I'm Parker. Most media people never get out of high school mentality. Yes, that is true. It's a cool surprise to see Dave Mustaine here. Who's Dave Mustaine? Do you know who Dave Mustaine is? He's some guy with a blonde wig.
I'll look him up.
We got.
No, never heard of her.
Hey, IP, you could get Hey, IP, you could get your PhD from Cambridge Arabic College.
Oh, sounds prestigious.
Yeah. Traveling Israel is a smaller channel that would appreciate your attention. Oren's recent video, Qatar's strategic war with Israel, was informative.
What was that?
Yeah, guys.
Shofar?
Hey, guys, instead of contacting us about Traveling Israel, contact Traveling Israel about us and tell him to contact us. We'd be happy to have him on because the gripers are going to keep annoying us. I cannot make videos. I'm too deep in religious matters. You fools notice my piety. It's greater than yours. That's true.
I'm too humble.
Oh, and here we have Mosh saying, I agree with Songs of Relief Traveling Israel channel. Mosh, go ahead and contact Traveling Israel. Tell him to contact us. Wait, Tom Holland, Spider-Man? Great. Great power, great responsibility. That is true.
It is kind of impressive that he's in all the movies, but also a great commentator on history and all that. Has written fantastic books about history and morality.
And so young to be cranking out these huge books.
Yeah.
My kids love Bonhoeffer's story. It's right to lie and sneak if it's for a greater good. Saving Jews is better than telling the truth to Nazis. Yeah, I did see that. I did see that part. Peterson starts arguing. You guys didn't see that yet, right? None of this? I'm trying to think. No, we didn't get to. No, that's towards the end. Yeah, Jordan saying is something like it's never right to lie or something like that. And that's easy to say until you start thinking about actual life situations. And I think what?
I'm not sure if her comment is connected to that because it's just about we talked about people in the Christians who were killed because they helped the Jews or were killed by the Nazis, but maybe it's also connected to this.
Yeah, it could be. So this could be if this wasn't because of what's about to come up, then it's a good coincidence here. And how on earth can you divorce this question from the historical context development? No. Science without meaning equals atheism. Logic without premises. Andrew Wilson. Science without meaning equals atheism. Logic without premises equals Andrew Wilson. Had a super sticker from Ida. Thank you, Ida. Ida here says, next time I challenge you to be in wigs.
Yes, all of us.
My counter. Oh, yeah. My counter. Oh, yeah. What if K-Man gay, huh? Wait, then he wouldn't even reproduce. D would take the Shahada or invite Winger on the show. Shahada. Ooh. I will say a council of chimpanzees saw Momo and decided on basic morals. A council of chimpanzees saw Momo and decided on basic morals. Sorry, I woke up evil. Yes, that's very terrible. Ida. I don't know. We don't joke like that on this show, Ida. Diego says, how can we still have free will even though God... Hey. Here you go. How can we still have free will even though God chose to create this world over another world where I can choose differently? God effectively chooses my actions by actualizing this world. This problem is brought up at 107.40. Yes, so I do recall. I did see part of that. Someone was asking him about free will.
This is easy to debunk because here's a simple analogy. If I go into the future, if I had a time machine, and then I come and I observe everything you do tomorrow, and then I come back to the present, does my knowledge determine everything you're going to do tomorrow? No. What your free choices do determine what I know. Knowledge is not fatalistic. It's not determining. It's our free choices determine God's knowledge. So that argument fails entirely because you're assuming omniscience means fatalism.
Correct.
And then also, God has the ability to create a being with free will. So paired with God's ability to create a being with free will, and then also knowledge of the future doesn't create a deterministic reality, then the problem is solved. I always think of the example of, I know that my daughter is going to look for snails in the garden every day when she gets home. That doesn't mean that she has no free will. I just know what she's going to do.
Yeah.
Never mind.
Ha! AP has been stumped. Go ahead, Christian Lily J. Preach it. The example you gave about your daughter made so much singe to me.
Fast.
Just
was
so
that
you
from
know-
earlier?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then said, whoops, forgive my misspellings in my previous our post. Lol. Yeah, you said singe to me. IP, D Wood, AP, and Garth. I guess that's from Wayne's World, Wayne and Garth. Looking for India, but can't descend from low orbit.
That's the blowed up Momo. Did you see the name?
Yeah. Hang on. The blowed up Momo. Oh, he's on a donkey.
Yeah, it's flying with the helium.
Looking for India, but can't descend from low orbit. Okay.
He's trying to find the Alzite dudes.
Looking for the Alzite dudes on my flying donkey monster. Could an atheist just grant that objective morality doesn't exist without God? Seems a simple enough position to me. Yeah, that was my position when I was an atheist. The problem is it's kind of unlivable. It's kind of unlivable. So you have two things. One, can you actually live like that? But two, atheists generally don't want to say, because then it becomes a criticism of atheism. You guys have no real morality in your system. And as atheists, you don't want to say that because then your view looks all screwed up. You guys have any more thoughts on that?
As an atheist,
I got a quick one. Oh, go ahead, AP.
As an atheist, it was very much for years my position that there is no intrinsic morality, that there is no intrinsic meaning, that there is no such thing at all, and that we live in a completely absurd world. And the more you try to fight against this fact, the more it causes suffering. So what you can do is to somehow find meaning, or subjective meaning, in accordance with what is best for your own self-preservation, or for your for flourishing, or the things that you feel passionate about, and all that, and then live accordingly. But the thing is, the problem with all of that is, you can try as much as you want to live a life that is that can very well feel fulfilling, and that can very well feel good. In the end, you are still just left with a moral system and a meaning of life that is completely made up, and that is not grounded, not founded upon anything stable at all. That is built on sand, or on I don't know, on very, very moist dirt. So it's probably better to find better meaning.
The thing I was going to say about it was, when I was an atheist, I could live logically with the idea that there are no objective morals. The problem is, if you have this objective epistemic duty to believe whatever is true, that's going to be made out of the same sort of thing as morals. And so once you ditch morals, you have to ditch this duty to believe truth. Well, then what do? Well, you're certainly not going to spend your time arguing with people online about what they need to believe, especially if you're a materialist. You don't think they have free will anyway. But so that you almost need to presuppose that there's a duty to believe truth in order to make it anywhere on your intellectual journey. Because otherwise, it's just like you're in a rocket and the engines have been cut off. And so, just like with morals, where you need this all-powerful mind that can intend something that's not an is statement, it's an as statement. This mind has the authority to instantiate its rules on reality, to know what you're doing, to make sure that those rules are followed. You need that same sort of system for the duty to believe truth as you would for a moral system. And that's much more problematic than a moral system, is the duty to believe truth.
Duty.
And I'll add something real quick. So Historically, the idea that morality is just relative, or it's personal preference, or anything besides objective morality, that's kind of a recent thing. I can think of the sophists in ancient Greece. They were relativists. Apart from that, everyone has always believed in objective morality. You can kind of only get away with it now because there's so much. People are basically conditioned with morality now. You're raised to believe certain things are right and wrong, and to feel revulsion at certain things like slavery and so on. When you're not getting that just you're not getting that just from being born a human or something like that. You're told all your life that this is wrong and so on. And so here's the thing: you can kind of still get along and live a normal life, believing that morality is relative because your preferences have been sort of programmed. And so you might not do horrible things. I want to point out, believing there is no objective morality and yet being raised to be a basically moral person, that's one thing. Believing that there's no objective morality and you're different and you're a psychopath or something, you're going to end up hurting a lot of people, and you're going to end up going to jail and prison. So anyway, there are consequences for stuff. Hey, hang on, check this out. 1 second. First, we got Ida. David, correct yourself. I'll zoot wherever they want. No. Hey, look who we got here. Look who we got. We got Danny Phil Talk. That's your buddy. That's Danny from the video. He says, I'm willing to chat with you guys right now about my part, since we are all here.
That's him?
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
yeah,
him.
that is him. Yeah.
If you guys want to talk to him, I could put him on. I have to say I'm not interested. The only thing I know about you, Danny, is you're not interested in like serious making a point. You had an opportunity to respond to the claim that Jordan was making. You instead chose to go in a different direction for a gotcha moment. You're kind of the opposite of the person I'm interested in talking to.
We've been
Well, I
going
would
for almost
probably
3 hours. We're almost
I
going
would
for
be
3 hours
interested-
now. At this point,
Yeah.
I'm just exhausted.
Yeah.
I
By the
would
way,
be interested
IP,
more
you
than
can, by the way,
yeah.
IP, you can cut out anytime you need, because I understand you go to sleep. Me and AP stay up late, and I stay up all night anyway. So this is just normal for us. You go to sleep at a normal human hour, like normal people.
Yeah.
But anyway, Danny
I would
is in the
normally
chat
do
and
it,
wants to
but
talk.
I'm scared. That's why I won't do it.
Yes, he'll say, define worship for me. Oh, do you worship Mary? Morality was invented at the Council of Nicaea. That's true. That's true. Hey, IP, how about we watch one more little section here, and then you can go ahead and cut
Sounds
out
good.
so you can go to sleep.
Sounds good, yeah.
All right, here we go. Hey, this guy looks like he's had maybe brain surgery or something like that. He's got that scar.
Why do you have to insult him, man?
It's not an insult. That's cool in my book. It means you've been through some stuff.
First thing you say about somebody, oh, he probably had brain surgery.
Again, that's cool. That's cool in my book. Oh, he's not even on. What the heck?
Hey, Jordan Peterson. How you
How
doing?
are you doing, man?
My name's Luke. Nice to meet
Good
you.
to see you, Luke.
So your claim that morality and purpose can only be found in science is a little shaky because I think that your claim is really being framed to be morality and purpose can only be found in religion.
What did he just say? Hang on. No, I think he got this wrong. Hang on, let me back this up.
Claim that morality and purpose can only be found in science.
He got it opposite. He said your claim that morality and purpose can only be found in science. I think what you want to say is morality and purpose can only be found in religion. So yeah, Peterson's claim is morality and purpose cannot be found within science. This guy misheard him or misunderstood him.
Maybe he'll correct it in a second.
Or they're just going to continue not understanding what each other's saying because the guy
We
completely
would never know
misunderstood.
this.
That
Okay.
tends to be what happens here. yeah.
Okay, let's
Right
see.
now.
My name's Luke. Nice to meet
Good
you.
to see you, Luke.
So your claim that morality and purpose can only be found in science is a little shaky because I think that your claim is really being framed to be morality and purpose can only be found in religion. Is that how you're kind of framing it?
I would say that the domain of religion is the domain of morality and purpose. Yes,
Okay.
exactly.
So
And
Peterson didn't even catch that the guy said the opposite of what he's actually saying. So this is interesting, but they're moving on. Okay.
also that science is actually structured, at least in part technically, to eliminate such considerations from its purview a priori.
Okay.
Right? That's why we define science as value-free.
Mm-hmm.
But that has to be wrong because scientists have to prioritize their attention towards something before they can even engage in observation.
Okay.
And that act of prioritization of attention is a value-predicated act. And so I can continue.
Yeah, everyone. Jordan speaks in lofty terms and so on. He basically pointed out that science doesn't give you the values, but there are values presupposed in science, and therefore these things are not coming from science; they're coming from somewhere else. And if you're the sort of person who I just go where I only believe in science, okay, you can't even have science then, because you don't have the value, you don't have the values that are actually presupposed within the scientific framework.
Like the duty to believe truth I was mentioning earlier. Like you have to have that as a scientist. There's a duty to share the truth that you see. There's a preconceived notion that your own consciousness is capable of observing the outside world and finding true things about it. Yeah, there's all kinds of value statements and intentionality in science.
Yeah, and that's what Jordan was saying. So let me just back up just so we can hear him.
Towards something before they can even engage in observation.
1 second. All right.
Scientists have to prioritize their attention towards something before they can even engage in observation.
Okay.
And that act of prioritization of attention is a value-predicated act. And so I can continue. There's all sorts of things we have to assume about science before it can take place.
Okay, so what I'm specifically pointing out here is about...
1 second. I did want to get to... Danny had a follow-up, so I just wanted to... let me see. Let me do this other one first. Rage Against the Ummah... Rage Against the Ummah says, I am having doubts regarding my faith. I love the idea of Jesus. I just doubt some of the Bible. What would you all recommend for your own case for Christ? What doubts, man?
What doubts, man?
Check out my 15 video series on the reliability of the Gospels. I have it up in a 6-hour video, but the playlist is also on my channel as well. You can see it there.
Just so you know, Rage Against the Ummah, doubting parts of the Bible does not mean you're not a Christian. I did not believe in the inspiration, or I didn't believe in the divine inspiration at all in the Bible when I became a Christian. I just believed, okay, Jesus died and rose from the dead, so I'm going to listen to him. And I believed that I had accurate historical records of some of what he said and did, and based my belief on that. I didn't believe in the rest of the Bible. So it was just, I'm becoming a Christian based on this guy. And keep in mind, there was Christianity before the New Testament was written. Christianity was there. So it was based on believing in Jesus. Now, I think that you're supposed to believe in the Bible as a Christian. I'm just pointing out, hey, if you're reading a story and you're going, this sounds wild to me, does not mean Jesus didn't die on the cross for sins and rose from the dead and so on. So don't think that, doubting something puts you outside the realm of Christianity, but you should try and figure these things out and so on.
That's not very orthodox Christian of you. So
get your thoughts organized. So I like to distinguish things into different issues. So say whether something or something and write that down, whether something or something and write that down, and get it like where there's a list of these separate things so that you can figure out what you believe, whether it's this or this, but realize that all those separate issues, they're not determinative of whether Christianity is true or not. So, and that way you can just organize, instead of having this big cloud of doubt over you, you can organize your thoughts and figure out what you believe on each issue and what evidence supports which side of each issue.
And here we had Danny. I'm always down for a serious conversation. Just let me know. And then the follow-up to that was challenge Danny Phil to Mubahala. Yeah, first you have to do Mubahala, Danny. Yeah, Danny, I don't know. If you want to have a serious conversation about something, just send us a topic you might be interested in. Maybe we'll do it. I have to say, based on first impression, you came across as like and keep in mind, this isn't just you. We interact with these guys all the time. it's just they're Muslims, right? It's just they go into a discussion. There is no real intention of having a serious discussion, getting to any point, informing people they're just looking for a gotcha moment. Then they take the little clip and they run with it, ha ha, and no one actually pays attention to anything that was said. We've been dealing with this for years. We find it repulsive. So when we see an atheist doing, we're like, oh, that's like the Dawa guys, right? So anyway, keep in mind, I mean, all that was based on like a little 2-minute clip of you. So that's not enough to form a complete picture of you. You could be different, or there could be more to you than that. But I have to say, not a good. I mean, it's a great first impression for people who like that. It's not a great first impression for people who.
So what you're saying is that you are basically scared of talking to Danny.
I literally just offered the man a second chance. Send us some topics that you might be interested in, and we could have a discussion. That's kind of a second chance.
You're scared.
Look, Danny, cut that clip. Yes, they all run. All these Christian apologists are running from me. They've been humiliated. Put that on your TikTok, bro.
It's actually, we're just all over 30 and really selective about what conversations we want to have. So we're burned out with kids.
And it's just, we kind of have endless options of people we can have discussions with. So we try to focus on, people we're taking seriously. Science says we understand that the West was basically the abandonment of Greek pure deduction, etc., by the scholastics in the 11th century. Just tweeted you a quote, D. Wood. You tweeted me a quote. Where? I will check it out. I will check it out while we play this.
I don't know if that's
Religion in
entirely
particular,
accurate.
since you yourself are a Christian, right?
That's people debate about.
You're saying this statement here?
The super chat, I don't think that's entirely accurate, but
Yeah,
I'm not
because
sure what they entirely mean.
Yeah, because this sort of just figuring everything out in your head. That was more like the Platonic rationalist.
It wasn't.
Like,
Yeah, they didn't abandon Greek deduction. They just incorporated it in a much larger framework.
By the medieval period, you did have Aristotle invented biology and zoology and logic, massive intellect. And you read some of his, like in zoological researches and so on, where he's talking about how he's describing the anatomy of an octopus. And it's like, how do you know all this? But how he uses it. So this wasn't just dissecting an octopus. They're somehow observing an octopus and stuff like this and determining how it's doing all these things. So there was clearly a lot of careful research going on. But you're right, as far as like people started thinking that how you're supposed to reason is just logical deduction and so on. And then you get Francis Bacon and so on. They turn it more into like induction, a more inductive approach. And that's where science takes off, because science isn't just like logic chopping and so on.
Mm-hmm.
Bacon.
And I generally don't discuss it publicly.
Okay, I understand that. And me, myself, I am a former young earth creationist.
Wait, what did I miss? Was that him asking him if he's a Christian?
Particular, since you yourself are a Christian,
cool.
right?
That's people debate about that, and I generally don't discuss it publicly.
Okay, I understand that. And me, myself, I am a former young earth creationist fundamentalist.
Oh yeah,
I got you. What?
Pause. So his Christianity, whether he's a Christian or not, he said he doesn't discuss that publicly, and people speculate about it. That's what he just said. So
Yeah, and this is an earlier topic than the later one about morals. So he was already ambiguous as to his religion before he was ever pressed by the other guy.
And the thing is, at this point, he must be familiar with what Jubilee told him when they invited him and when they set this up, right? So I really wonder where exactly what went wrong, because to me, this doesn't sound like something that Jordan Peterson would just vaguely agree to and then just change his opinion on. It looks to me like Jubilee didn't really inform him on the idea that this is supposed to be the title, one Christian versus 20 atheists.
Yeah.
So something went really, really wrong there.
And yeah, it seems like exactly what we said, that it's just, hey, Jordan Peterson, are you willing to have a discussion with 20 atheists? Well, sure, I'd love to do that, eh? But maybe they've seen him call Jesus God and say that he believes Jesus actually rose from the dead. And so they're like, oh, we'll call this a we'll call this 20 atheists versus a Christian, where he thought it was just 20 atheists versus him, and that he's going to bring some of these important ideas out and stuff. So, yeah, that's on them.
Mm-hmm. Yo, I need to take off.
Go ahead.
I gotta help. All right, I'll see you guys later.
All right, man.
See ya.
See you.
Leave.
Yeah.
If he just walked away and never hung
Get
up.
out of here, man.
Get out of here. I'm thinking, okay, now I'm going to have to take him off the screen because he's just staying there forever. Okay, I'm going to go over here.
Hold
Just
real
going to start
still.
over to get rid of him.
Get out right now.
There, see, these are the steps I have to take to get IP off my screen. All right.
So I have experience in this. I used to run a TikTok channel directed
Oh.
about apologetics, about
And
the
you're an
Bible,
expert.
specifically in this type
Serious
of
stuff.
facet with morality, evolution, and such, and going back and forth with that. So in the Bible, it talks a lot about slavery, right?
Yes.
Yes. So
Oh, now IP runs? Now IP runs?
Yeah, thanks a lot, IP.
Thanks a lot, IP.
You were scared of the slavery topic.
Yeah, he knew. Oh, I know what the topic is. Let me get out of here.
They're going to mention
in that, it teaches you how to take care of a slave.
I won't know how to answer that.
Rather than saying slavery is wrong, I think
Now
it
it
should
says
say
that in the story of Moses.
It says slavery is incorrect. It says
Well,
it's immoral.
that's why Moses leads his people away from slavery.
But why does the Bible predicate and tell people exactly how to take care of a slave? Isn't
Well,
that immoral? Wouldn't you say that culturally we've evolved as a species, as he said earlier about empathy?
Yeah, I would say that the reason we evolved, so to speak, away from slavery was because the West was founded on Judeo-Christian morality and the
Yeah.
presumption that every person was made in the image of God.
Wouldn't you
And
say
so
that
slavery
that-
itself became immoral, and
Yeah.
that was established by Protestant Christians in the
Yes.
UK, who then convinced the
Yes.
UK government for 200 years to go to war on
And
slavery.
wouldn't you say that this is about the cultural evolution of humans in general, rather than just
No,
Christianity?
I think it's the
'Cause-
flowering of the ideas that were embedded in the biblical text. So
That is correct. So, guys, everyone understanding? It's but there's slavery in the Bible, and Peterson points out, but yeah, it's not a good thing. Otherwise, why would God lead the people out of slavery? And then, of course, it eventually leads the entire world out of slavery. So there's a system there, and he's saying, but why didn't it just say slavery bad instead of doing it in this way? Why was it treated as something that was okay ever? It just should have said everything that was wrong there at the beginning. But you do have this idea in the New Testament. Jesus says things were allowed because of the hardness of people's hearts. Things were allowed at a time because of the hardness of people's hearts. So it's acknowledged in the Bible. These certain things in the Bible are not ideal. This is the way things are. This is the way people are at this stage of humanity. And so there are certain rules. Connected to this is the idea that, rules shouldn't be changing or something like that. And I was like, dude, I forget what his name was, but dude, maybe you'll have kids one day. And guess what? You're going to have different rules for your 2-year-old than you have for when he's 5. And you're going to have different rules when he's 5 than you'll have for him when he's 8. And you'll have different rules for when he's 8 than when he's 12, and so on. It's not you that's changing. He's in different circumstances at different levels of development.
I would say that it would be very difficult to argue, which is why I don't know. I kind of it becomes questionable when Jordan Peterson or somebody else goes down the path of making any suggestion about Moses or somebody else. You're leading people away from slavery. I would say that at best you could argue that that the Old Testament regulated slavery. I don't think that you could actually effectively argue that that before Christianity, before the New Testament, that the Old Testament, that Jewish law abandoned or outlawed slavery. I think that it's pretty evident that it was that it continued existing and was only regulated until the arrival of the New Testament from a Christian perspective and from a Jewish perspective until conditions were no longer in place and slavery was seen as obsolete and no longer usable. Right.
I'll say too, my heart goes out to this atheist, and if he's saying this, no, I used to be an atheist too, and I had similar concerns. But okay, so originally the topic was whether morals can be found from science. And I think this atheist didn't want to have to defend that because it's not really a defensible position to try to say that morals come from science. And so instead he shifted the topic to whether or not religion is the place to get your morals. But then to attack religion, he's using a bunch of preconceived ideas that they're all stolen from Christianity. So even this idea that abolition is bad, let's say there's no God for a moment. How does that entail that slavery is bad or that abolition is good? It doesn't. There's nothing there. There's just the will to power. If you can overpower somebody else and make them your slave, there is no rational reason not to. The reason that is so abhorrent to us and we hate it in our gut is because we've been in this Christian society for so long, and we've been influenced by people like John Newton and William Wilberforce and Benjamin Lay, who had to work really hard to uproot this comfortability. I don't know if that's a word, but if people can say certainty, I can say comfortability. But this this deep comfort and familiarity with slavery, they were just so used to it, didn't feel weird to them. The fact that it feels weird to us now is an amazing victory of Christ in the world that would have never happened without very brave Christians who had to sacrifice everything. So like John Newton, who gave up his job, and Benjamin Lay, who he lived on nothing but vegetables because he didn't want to eat any produce that was created by slaves. So we're the same way Isaac Newton was sitting on the shoulders of giants and he was talking about the theologians of the Middle Ages. We're sitting on the shoulders of giants, of moral champions who ended slavery in the world. And really through the British Empire, they spreaded that idea of abolition everywhere.
And it is just amazing that you have these atheists who, like, that's the issue they go to. But what about slavery? It's like, do you not realize how you got the idea that this was bad? Like, thousands of years of humans would have no clue what you're talking about if you say it's wrong. So how do you suddenly understand that it's wrong? Where'd you get that idea from? Oh, I just got it because we developed to this point. It's like, okay, you haven't changed. You're not changed biologically. You're not some new development in humanity that you're wired differently. You've absorbed the idea that it's bad. You've been programmed all your life to believe that it's bad. Where'd that idea come from? Guess what? It ain't come from atheism. Defend that on atheism. It makes zero sense on atheism. Look, I can own this cup. You don't have a problem with me owning a cup, right? Although you could come up with an ideology where it's just wrong to own anything and ownership of anything is immoral. So you could come up with an idea like that, right? But anyway, right now in history, I can own a cup. I can own a bird. I can own a dog. I can own a cow. Why can't I own a human being? Why is it okay to own a cup or a dog, but it's morally wrong to own a human being? Where'd you get that idea? Here's the thing. We know exactly where you got that idea. It sprang out of some ideas in the Bible. The book you're attacking as pro-slavery is where you actually got the idea. And it starts off in the first chapter of Genesis that human beings are created in the image of God. They're created with a certain kind of dignity. And there's an entire world that degrades the image of God. And one of the ways we do that is by things we do, like slavery and so on. You get to the New Testament, and then you get moral principles like do unto others as you would have them do unto you, and so on. And so you can actually, now you're thinking morally. Would I want someone owning me? No. Okay, so should I be, owning other people and stuff? So you can start thinking through these things. And this actually started off early in Christianity, but back then Christians would just free their slaves. Wealthy Christians would buy other people's slaves and then free them. With that said, slavery continued. Because guess what? human beings can do just whatever is moral to them, even if they were to think through it, they would see some conflicts with other beliefs that they have. You could take a group of young Christians right now, raise them as Christians, and raise them in an environment where all women being OnlyFans models is perfectly normal. And if the kids grow up in that environment where that's just what Christian women do, they're OnlyFans models, and it's just totally normal, they would think that's totally normal, and they would grow up, and a bunch of them would do that. Someone in there might eventually start thinking, hey, why is this actually? Should we be doing this? Is this actually consistent with our beliefs? And might start raising a ruckus and saying, guys, we need to think about this more. But it's just that is a feature of human beings, that they tend to do what is normal in their society, even if it happens to conflict with things that they officially believe. But yeah, it is just amazing that we've gotten to a point where something that was completely normal around the world for thousands and thousands of years is now regarded as a moral abomination by people who have no basis within their own worldview for believing that it's a moral abomination, and they still can't even be brought to realize how they came to view it as a moral abomination, because as soon as you bring it up, hey, you got this from Christianity, they start going, but what about slavery in the Bible? Not really. Why are you even objecting to slavery in the Bible? Because the Bible ultimately led people out of slavery. Anyway, that's the situation.
Yeah, the Christians were so successful, people don't even realize they don't have a basis for the idea anymore. And really quick, I want to plug 3 books for any atheists watching.
Books.
The most important one is Straw Dogs by John Gray. Well, I'm putting these books out there because they're all written by atheists saying that you can't have morals on atheism. And I know, as an ex-atheist, hearing that from a Christian, it doesn't hit as hard as hearing it from an atheist. And Straw Dogs by John Gray was really good. Probably the best one I'm going to suggest. But then also Alex Rosenberg's Atheist Guide to Reality is a good one. And then the creepiest one is Beyond Good and Evil by Nietzsche. If you can deal with a more cerebral book, he's really, really wordy, but he's a really good writer.
Very difficult book.
Yeah, it's like if an evil bad guy wrote philosophy. That's Beyond Good and Evil by Nietzsche.
You're about to set AP off. You're about to set AP on a rampage.
I am trying to forget about my obsession with Nietzsche. That is in the past. I am no longer that.
No, that is wrong. You and I both recognize, and Nietzsche is like horribly wrong in certain ways and completely right in certain ways. We need to actually go through that at some point, do a series, bringing the things that Nietzsche was completely right about to the surface, and let him be remembered for these good things. And well,
I still think that he was an absolute genius.
Totally.
And that
mad scientist level.
And that he completely correctly, in a time where nobody else was doing it, assessed the development and the current state and future of morality. The whole issue, which people cite him so much on, which is God is dead, is just actually such a profound observation by him, which is about how morality came through the belief in God and through Christianity, and we have killed God. What have we done? He's actually lamenting that and mourning about it, and people quote him nowadays and misquote him and misunderstand it. He's pointing out that that people are letting go of the morality that they depended on because they got rid of God in society, and now they have to somehow replace it. And his way of replacing it is of course the will to power, which is kind of a nonsensical conclusion. But anyway, enough to Nietzsche. So I was going to say something about early church fathers and early Christians opposing slavery. IP mentioned this quite a bit, but a hugely important church father very early on, very fundamental in Christian thinking, Gregory of Nissa was one of the people who he's considered a huge theologian. And
he freed thousands, didn't he? If I recall,
he's the one who
he's the one who said it. He's the one who spoke against it. I'm trying to think if it was him. There were a few people back then who took money and they freed thousands. I
don't know about that.
His whole family was based, right? Isn't he in Dominion?
He wrote like he he condemned slavery and condemned it as an injustice, as a sin, and said it is obviously incompatible with God's creation and the nature with which we were created, and so on. And other church fathers said similar things. If they didn't go as far as condemning slavery altogether or saying we should get rid of slavery, they at least brought it down to it is a sinful state, and people who find themselves in a slave-owner relationship should treat them as brothers because we are all equals before God. But very early Christians did condemn and speak out against slavery. So the whole you could say the earliest people who suggested directly abolishing or who suggested opposing or declaring slavery altogether wrong were Christians. It was the Christian people, the Christian scholars who started this whole abolitionist idea. So it is a Christian idea to be against slavery, and that has been normalized because of Christianity today.
Oh, actually, I looked it up. Different Gregory. Pope St. Gregory. Pope St. Gregory. So anyway, the quotation, this is from the historian William Lecky, said St. Melania was said to have emancipated 8,000 slaves. St. Ovidius, a rich martyr of Gaul, 5,000. Chromatius, a Roman prefect under Diocletian, 1,400. Hermes, a prefect in the reign of Trajan, 1,250. Pope St. Gregory, many of the clergy at Hippo under the rule of St. Augustine, as well as great numbers of private individuals freed their slaves as an act of piety. So the point is, this is early. This is early stuff. This is first few centuries of Christianity.
Eusebius says that some Christians would sell themselves into slavery, take the money, and go free other slaves.
That's actually in I think that's Clement of Rome, but. Okay. Clement of Rome, in his letter, he had to order Christians to stop doing it. He said, stop selling yourselves into slavery to free other people or to feed other people and so on. So, but I mean, it's just interesting. Think about the mindset, because it's always interested me like how quickly the example of Jesus affected people. Like, look how quickly it affected
Christ. Yeah.
Look how quickly it affected the Apostle Paul. That in the book Philemon, where so you had Philemon. Philemon had a slave named Onesimus. Onesimus apparently stole some stuff and ran away. So he's a runaway slave. He's in quite a bit of trouble in the Roman Empire. This runaway slave. Onesimus eventually converts to Christianity, meets the Apostle Paul. And Paul says, you're not going to be on the run for your rest of your life. You're going back. But I'm sending you with a letter. And he sends him a letter talking to Philemon, the slave owner. And in that letter, Paul says, whatever he owes you. So this guy, again, he stole some stuff. Whatever he owes you, charge that to me. I'll pay it when I get there. And I want you to receive him as you would receive me. Now that's exactly what Paul absorbed. The message of the cross was to Paul, that Jesus takes our punishment, and now we are accepted before the Father as the Father would. We are now seen as like Jesus, and so on. So that affected Paul, and then Paul actually uses it in real life. Hey, this guy owes you. I'll pay it. Whatever he owes, charge that to me, and I want you to receive him as you would receive me. So that influenced Paul right there. But then it became this good popular thing to do among the early Christians. Hey, there's starving people over there. You know what? I'm going to go sell myself into slavery and give the money to the poor. Or I'm going to sell myself into slavery to free this other slave. Or I'm going to trade myself to free this other guy and stuff. He had to actually say, stop doing that. We don't want to make more. We don't want to make more slaves and turn the Christian community into a more of a slave community and so on. So he had to tell them to actually stop doing that. But anyway, interesting, fun stuff. All right, we'll let this guy finish this.
Across long spans of time.
I feel like this is just humans editing based on the cultural evolution of morality.
What do you mean by just?
Just?
Yeah, just humans.
Well, humans.
Editing.
Well, based on culture and history, right? we get better.
Well, they
and-
did do it based on culture and history, but
Yes.
culture and history have their foundations too. So
Well, yeah, but we're talking about slavery. So many people bolstered it based on the
everyone,
Bible. Based on the
that's-
Bible. They
that's
looked
much
at it
less
and they
true.
justified it in the United States, in the Deep South. They justified slavery
yeah, but
based
the main
on the
thrust,
Bible.
the main
They justified it because it was normal to them, and that's how they were making money. And it was people pointing out, people who weren't part of the system, who were actually, hey, you guys know that's wrong, right? And then eventually you have a war fought over it. What?
So we just explained it very, very lengthily, but if you're going to argue that Christian morality adopted or adjusted and then abolished slavery as a result of culture and historical development and so on, you're just going to fail. So it's very well established that Christianity that the opposition to slavery came with Christianity. So. I guess I see why this one guy is raising his red flag, but if you're going to argue from that position, you're going to fail. So.
Yeah, and if you're saying, oh, we've just advanced more, it's like, what are you advancing into? Are you becoming actually more moral? If so, then there is an objective moral. Where are you getting that from? Because right now you're just saying we're different. If you're saying you're different, then okay, are we better? Is this better now? And I don't mean just better according to your feelings. I mean, is it morally better to not have slavery than it is to have slavery? If so, please explain that in your worldview, because you're saying, oh yeah, we just changed over time. Okay, well, human beings change over time. We might change 100 years from now and go back to slavery. What does that mean? Does that mean it's then okay? What does this mean? So yeah, we'll see. This guy got a flag.
The thrust of Protestant thought in particular was stringently
Yes.
against slavery, and it was about the only movement in the history
Yes.
of the human race that
Yes.
had an anti-slavery direction.
Which was driven by humans and their
That's
understanding
one
of
way of
morality.
looking at it. Well, it depends.
It's the same with women's suffrage. I mean, the patriarchy.
What do you mean it was driven by humans? Humans drove slavery.
It's going to be the same thing here. Is it better? Is it better in a world where women have more rights? Is that actually better, or is it just different and things have changed?
Women's suffrage was all pushed by Quakers, just like the first abolitionist movement. They're all Christians. They're Christians who believe that women were made in the image of God. And so, being part of God's agents in the world would be the ability to vote, so you could instantiate God's will in the world. So his example 100% goes against his conclusion.
Well, and I keep going back because I'm looking at the topic is literally on the screen. Morality and purpose cannot be found within science. Nothing he is saying is refuting that. In fact, he's undermining his own. If he's acting like we're actually getting better and that we are morally better now and it's morally right to oppose slavery and morally wrong to own slaves or something like that, then are you getting that from science? Because the only record we have of how you got that is from Christians spreading the idea. It wasn't because they discovered it with a microscope. It wasn't because they figured it out in a lab. It's because they put some ideas together that they got from their Christian worldview. So if it's not from that, if you're saying, no, it's just a coincidence that Christians came up with this, there's something else. Okay, what is the something else? And is it science? If not, no, I haven't seen anyone who's come close to even addressing his topic so far.
Yes, exactly.
So there's no argument there. If slavery and anti-slavery were both driven by humans, what does your claim that they were driven by humans have to do with it?
Evolving morality based on the culture that within the society that they live in.
Okay, fine.
So with
I
women's
think that
suffrage
did
as well
happen.
as a very similar topic in the Bible, there are denominations in Christianity such as Pentecostal movement, which do bolster women to be pastors, right? Which I think that's a great thing to do.
You think it's a great thing. Why? Just because you're raised in a culture where you think that's a great thing? Or is it actually a great thing? If it's a great thing, where are you getting that idea? How do you have access to your knowledge of why this is a morally great thing? Is it from science? If so, show us the scientific experiment that confirmed this. If not, where is it coming from? Where are you getting this from? Anyway,
the Bible.
by the way, you may have been ready to point this out. You've got things in the Bible about distinctions between men and women, but part of the idea goes back to Genesis 1. God created man in his own image, man, the generic term, male and female. He created them. Yeah. Men and women are both created in the image of God, and both have a certain dignity. You're the woman over there. The woman is in the image of God. That's the image of God. Yeah. What were you saying?
So both the man and the woman are created in the image of God. It's not just the man. But the Bible also has very clear, the New Testament especially also has very clear condemnations of slave traders, for example. So it's not like this is a sentiment that developed way later over the years and only recently came to our attention. Like these sentiments they go back to the Bible. Right?
Yeah. In the Old Testament, taking people and making them slaves, that was a death sentence. That was a death sentence in the Old Testament. It's understood. And keep in mind, you're in a completely different world. If you go out and you fight the opposing tribe and you take captives, what do you do? Just tell me, what do you do? Your options are let them go, in which case you're going to be fighting them again. They're going to regroup and you're going to be fighting them again. Or you slaughter them all. Or you enslave some of them to weaken the population. That's how you'd end up with slaves back then. The point is, there are no good options. There are certain situations you're in life where there are no good options. And you look at, and so you have to pick from this bad option, or this bad option. And you say, okay, we think this is the least bad option. And then people thousands of years later go, look, that was a bad option. Why didn't you do this? It's like, okay, what you're saying they should have done is not an option back then. It didn't work. It wouldn't have worked back then. You're in a completely different world where now other things can work. Back then they weren't in that world. Sorry.
But most like to disregard
Where do you
women.
think the idea that human beings were sufficiently equal to all vote and not be slaves came from?
Humans.
Yeah, but so did the idea.
Again, he keeps going back and forth between, it's just a human thing.
What does it even mean?
But he also says this is better. Dude, you're not realizing you're appealing to a moral standard. And Peterson is pointing this out. He's just saying if everything's from humans, then guess what? The bad things from humans, the good things from humans, what makes that thing from humans good and that thing from humans bad? What's the difference?
I hereby declare that women should not be able to vote.
It's from humans. Look, a human said it. So right or wrong, dude.
I want to steel man the atheist a bit because when I was an atheist, I would have responded to my arguments tonight with, well, if morals come from what God is saying, that's still subjective because that's subjective to God's mind. But really, that objection doesn't really mean anything. And this is why, because everything about our reality in some sense is subjective to God's mind. So like the mass of an electron being, 9 times 10 to the negative 31 kilograms. That's just a number that God came up with. And so in a sense, it's subjective to God's mind, but then it's also objective because it's true for everyone that that's the mass of an electron. So it is subjective in the sense that God picked it, but it's also objective in the sense that it's true for everyone. Same with like the gravitational constant, right? Yeah, subjectively, God just picked the gravitational constant to be G, but it's still true for everyone that that's the gravitational constant. And so it's the same with morals. You could try to say, well, it's just subjective to God what morals he picked. It doesn't matter because it's true for everyone, the morals that God picks, if that makes sense.
Nerd.
Yeah, my response when I was an atheist would have been, I think it's all nonsense. I mean all the talk of right and wrong, it's all nonsense.
It is.
That was my late stage atheism. Yeah. I started to realize.
That was I had an advantage in seeing this clearly because I was a psychopath. I wasn't influenced by emotions and so on. My view, what?
Was
what?
He's saying you're still a psychopath.
Yes, I was a psychopath. I still am, but I was then as well. It's like Mitch Hedberg. He said, I used to do drugs. I still do, but I used to too. And yeah, so anyway, back then when I was developing, I was able to see this clearly because I was a psychopath. But in my view, this is still my view, it's objective morality stands or falls with God in more than one way. So the way we normally talk about is God would be the source of objective morality, that God makes commands and God has a kind of authority that nothing else has. And so those commands are basically our moral obligations. Notice when you say what a person's moral obligation is, it's in the form of a command. And it's like, okay, where's that command coming from? Is that something just like someone told me? If so, it doesn't have that kind of divine authority. If it's like, do not murder. When you say your moral obligations are in the form of commands, don't do this or do this. So the question is, where does that command come from? What is the status of that command? Well, if it comes from my parents, then at certain times I have to obey them and so on. That's not the same thing as having a moral obligation to do something. If you think it is, guess what? What if your parents tell you to go steal something at the store for them or something like that? Does that become a moral obligation for you to do? So or does the moral obligation come from your society, or does it come from your wiring? Where does it come from? Right. The only way it's an objective moral value, an objective moral obligation, is if it comes from an authority, like a complete authority over humanity. That would be something like God. So anyway, that's how we normally think of the connection between God and morality. I thought in a different way, where it's basically the exact same arguments and reasoning you would use to dismiss God, you could use to dismiss any moral obligation. But you don't. This is what I saw back then. You'll apply all this reasoning. Oh, I don't see God, and I was just taught to believe in God, and that's all blah 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 blah. And then you give all these moral claims a free pass and don't apply that same skepticism towards them, right? Because guess what?
The logical positivism out the window. Yeah, you no longer need to.
Yeah. So, hey, I was told to believe in God, but I don't see God. I don't see any evidence for God. I don't see any scientific proof for God. I don't see any reason. The only reason I'm told to believe in God just because a bunch of people told me and made me do things, and that's where I got it. And so guess what? You know what? I'm done with that. You guys haven't proven anything to me. I'm not going to believe in a bunch of stuff just because you said it. Okay, apply the exact same reasoning to do not murder. You've never proven that to me. You can't prove that scientifically. You've never given me any reason to believe that is an actual moral obligation other than a bunch of you saying it to me all my life. You've never proven anything. You've just said it. You know what? I'm done with that. What most atheists do is they'll do that with God. Hey, you haven't proven that to me. I only go where the proof is. And then they'll make all these moral claims that they can't possibly defend and that make no sense at all on their own worldview. And they don't see it. I saw it. It's like, oh, okay. Yeah, you've never proven that. I don't care about that. You don't prove that. I don't care about that. It's all gone. It's all gone together. So anyway,
it's like
our atheist friends, I just wanted to point, our atheist friends are what I would call inconsistent skeptics. They're skeptical of things they don't want to believe in. The things they do want to believe in, they just drop their skepticism level to the floor. So here's God, and here's an argument from fine-tuning, an argument from objective morality, an argument from the existence of the cosmos, and so on. Here are all these arguments and so on. I'm going to raise my skepticism level up to 10, reject all of that. There's no evidence for God. Oh, here's all these beliefs I have about right and wrong and so on. If I were remotely skeptical about them, I would have to reject them all as nonsense. But you know what? I'm going to lower my skepticism level to the floor so that I just say, what are you talking about? What kind of monster wouldn't believe in these? Of course these things are true. And that's an inconsistent skeptic. And it's almost every atheist I see. And it's this atheist right here. And it's every other atheist who's in this discussion right now. What are we saying, Gadfly?
I like to ask them, okay, so how much does the phrase "you shouldn't murder" weigh, right? How long is it? Where is it on the periodic table?
37
you
grams.
Start asking this, you ask them the same sort of questions they would ask about God, because they're always wanting, like, scientism, like logical positivist evidence for God. It was like, you believe so many things without any kind of evidence like that, like the duty to believe truth. Prove that the duty to believe. How much does the duty to believe truth weigh? Where is that on the periodic
75 pounds.
And then the one last thing I want to say too was with biology and how it progresses with evolution, you can get the desire to do something that we call good, right? So I could perfectly concede the point that when I give to the poor and I get a warm, fuzzy feeling in my heart, that there might be something with biology that influences that. But I believe that the same God who gave us these moral laws created the fine-tuned constants that allow us to have that biology. But we also have free will. And so it doesn't 100% sync up, but you can't have those ought statements come from the biology. The biology is just the is statements.
Powerful.
Yeah.
Let's see if this guy gets the point.
Idea of slavery.
So did the idea of God.
Fine, but what's your point? Like, you're not making an argument. You're just saying all thoughts come from humans, regardless of the thoughts.
It's not driven by a higher power. It's driven on our experiences
Define
as
higher.
humans, which is what is best for all people.
Is it driven by conscience?
It could be, which conscience is also something that has evolved over time. And I think that's something that does evolve in morality and empathy.
Atheists of the world. And keep in mind, I have no reason to think that if Christians were in the same situation, they might not completely miss whatever the topic might be and go off in different directions and so on. But it's hard to claim that you guys are the champions of facts and evidence and reason and so on and logic when you're given a very clear claim: morality and purpose cannot be found within science. And none of you can come even close to actually addressing the topic. It's very simple. You either agree with it, you step up and say, you know what, you're right, morality and purpose cannot be found within science. That we agree. Or actually you're wrong. Here's how you can find it in science. That's how you address a claim. No one's doing that. It's weird.
I don't understand the point that you're making.
My point is that God influenced slavery. People looked at the Bible.
You said God influenced slavery, so you believe God.
Who believes in God?
This
too late. You're not an atheist anymore.
Is moral because God says so. Just like women's suffrage,
there's lots
and just like homosexuality.
All human societies were slave owning, so you can't blame that on the Bible.
If humanity decided,
oh wait, address that first.
What
all
about slavery?
Human societies were slavers, so you can't blame that on the Bible.
Well, you can say it bolstered it.
Well, not if you look at the broad sweep of history, because it was the Protestant Christians
based on
in the
their
UK.
Interpretation of the Bible.
It was the Protestant Christians,
which evolves over time.
Let's pause there. You've been voted out by the majority.
All right. Well, it was great.
All right, we've been going a long time, so we'll leave it there. Loser.
Why are you shaking your head?
Is it always like that on Jubilee? Just, hey, here's my topic, and then don't even address it?
Yeah. I've never seen a single episode, but yes.
It's pretty lame. All right, let's go through these super chats. Wait. Hang on. Al Diddy line says, challenge Danny, and whoever loses has to cross me. That's from the Al Diddy line. Oh, that's a super sticker. Thank you. Danny again. We can talk about the Peterson exchange. I'm not interested in talking about the Peterson exchange. I don't know. Maybe someone else is. And Danny, this isn't to be mean. It's just everyone has limited amount of time. So we've got the stuff that we're in. You know, people have the stuff that they're interested in talking about and stuff like that. And
why are you bullying Danny, man?
Well, he bullied poor Jordan Peterson.
We wish him well.
Yeah, wish you well. Danny Phil Talk avoids my simple question. What he meant by serious clout dawa, bro? I can be your dawa teacher. That's a good point. You need a dawa teacher because you like the dawa approach. If the coming of the Antichrist is inevitable, what does it matter which nation you help? Isn't that like complaining that Romans killed Jesus? All part of the plan.
It's a completely stupid argument, anyway.
You mean Andrew Wilson's argument or this argument?
Andrew Wilson's.
Yeah. To be fair, though, Andrew clarified. He says not necessarily the Antichrist, could be an Antichrist following the spirit of Antichrist. In other words, you don't want to help people who's going to be an Antichrist, someone who's going to oppose Christ and so on. You don't want to help him. So it could, and guess what? I would agree. You shouldn't help someone who's going to be an Antichrist and start a nuclear war. I would not want, under any circumstances, to help an Antichrist who starts a nuclear war. I just have zero reason to think that that's going to happen by supporting Israel's right to exist and defend itself. Like none. And nothing he said gave me the slightest indication when you actually look at the reasoning process. 30%, according to a poll, want the third temple. That must mean that when they establish the third temple, they're going to pick a Messiah. No. But he'll just go with that. They're going to pick a Messiah, and that Messiah is going to be an Antichrist, if not the Antichrist. And then he's going to go nuclear and start a nuclear war. Notice there's multiple steps. I'm like, wait, what? How are you? How does that follow from what you just said? And anyway.
Magic Jew blood.
Let's see. This Danny kid didn't get shoved in enough lockers growing up. Wish I had more to add, but here's my jizya. No, I mean, he seems... He seems like friendly and fun, but might be, I don't know, might be fun to have a discussion with and so on. It's just TikTok does something, and I don't even know. I mean, if you sit down with someone famous and you're on TikTok, you might want to just, hey, let me go for the gotcha moment or something like that. I don't know. That Joseph guy who made that comment about the lockers needs to shut up. Exact kind of comment that breeds division and no genuine good conversation. So wait, let me go back. So Joseph said this Danny kid didn't get shoved in enough lockers growing up. Wish I had more to add, but here's my jizya. I would have shoved him in more lockers and then he would show more respect. And then Sean jumps in and says that Joseph guy who made that comment about the lockers needs to shut up. Exact kind of comment that breeds division and no genuine good conversation. So you get it all.
I stand with Sean here.
Yeah. No shoving kids into lockers. That's why they become atheists. They're like, why would God allow me to be shoved in a locker? I will destroy God for allowing this.
Don't shove people in lockers.
Yeah, no shoving people in lockers. In fact, you know what I'd like? I would like it to become a moral virtue for strong kids to protect other kids from being bullied. Like, how is that not a thing? It's happened in certain schools where you have like a group of kids like, you know what, we're gonna like patrol the school and stop bullies and so on. It's good. That should be encouraged. Like, hey, if you're a strong young guy, don't go around bullying. Be a guy who stops bullying. Be a better world. Slavery in Egypt is very different from the rules of slaves in the Torah. Yeah, that's true. Mm-hmm.
That's true.
If Joseph isn't Jesus' father, how is he from David? Well, you have a couple ways for that, but ignore Joseph comment. He took it back, lol. Okay, good. He took it back. See? You see it? That's progress. Joseph took it back. That's good. Let's see. Mike Winger has the best anti-slavery Bible take.
Yes.
Stop trolling. Mike Winger has the best of nothing except being annoying as anything. Best argument against atheism. Marquis de Sade, the atheist Momo, had a screwed upbringing like Momo, his El Quran, the 120 days of Sodom. The atheist Momo had a screwed up upbringing like Momo, his El Quran, the 120 days of Sodom. That was a creepy dude. Does this count as tithing? You can. I mean, it wouldn't be normally church tithing, but you can always give to a homeless shelter or something like that. Someone needs to do a reverse Uno card on JP and ask him, what does he mean by mean? Someone do that. Someone do that. What do you mean by mean? Let him know how it feels. Let him know how that crap feels. A good example, Ida, a good example would be the immoral things in Islam, which also was given through Allah and his prophet. And the Muslims today see it as moral because of exposure, as amoral just because of exposure to our God and our society and culture. Yeah, that's the thing with like certain issues, like men being able to beat their wives and so on. It's completely acceptable in Islam. But you'd have lots of women who have a problem with it. Polygamy, totally allowed in Islam. You'd have lots of women just because they grow up in a different society where they have a problem with it. Marriage to prepubescent girls. You'd have lots and lots of women and lots of Muslim men who have a problem with it now, even though it's not coming from their religion. So, yeah, absolutely correct. We have Celeria, who says, "Whoa, I can't believe I actually made it back before the stream came to an end. I am shocked." Also, hello, mysterious wigged gadfly AP Dr. Wood. Hello,
Thank
Celeria.
you.
I'm 89%.
What do you mean by mean?
Someone said, I am 89% sure you would have a good conversation with Danny. Yeah, Danny. Don't know you. Only know you from this So, little clip. In the comment section, not here in the chat, because I'm not going to see the chat afterwards. In the comment section, if there are topics you're interested in discussing that you discuss regularly, it might be good. So anyway, we're Christians. We have various backgrounds. Christian, Gadfly, me. Matter of fact, all three of us are former atheists here. AP is also a former Muslim. So he's a former Muslim and a former atheist and a former agnostic. And full cat human now. Christian Gadfly.
I'm the most dangerous of all of us. So careful.
Christian Gadfly's background is in the legal realm. That's why you shouldn't trust him. My background is in philosophy. So there are a variety of topics. If you come up with one that's interesting, we're totally cool having a discussion with an atheist.
I'm the coolest.
Jizya al-Kolbe. that was Dia's nickname, Jizya al-Kolbe. Win for Danny. You've been humiliated. You guys take Aquinas' view of natural law theory or Calvin's view of divine command theory on how to derive morality from God. I take Aquinas one, by the way. I don't think they're mutually exclusive. You can have natural law with respect to certain things and divine command theory with respect to other things and virtue ethics with other things. You can, all these things are not mutually exclusive. You do not have to pick, and this is the only thing I'm going to. Let's see. Jubilee is just the Al-Zut story for online debate. It is.
Oh, I knew it.
They keep reenacting. We need to start saying that. They're reenacting the Al-Zut story again on Jubilee. And comments under that debate show how people take arrogance and insults as wins. I am ashamed for these kids' parents and advocate for lockers shoving. We're back to that. We're back to the locker shoving. No, here's the thing. One, it's messed up to shove kids in lockers. We know what people are saying. Just random like you gotta humiliate them and so on. No, it actually has the opposite effect. Then they grow up and I will humiliate everyone in return. But yeah, it is a serious problem. There's a serious problem. And again, it's an issue in dawah that you can be trying to show that the evidence confirms some claim and so on. And other people are just looking for a gotcha moment to share in their video. And then once they've got that, guess what? That goes viral. And the actual serious discussion never goes anywhere and people don't pay attention to it. So that is a sad feature of reality, especially in the age of the internet, where, guess what? If you have some gotcha moment with some important person, it's going viral. It's going viral. The actual discussion will not. And so, yep, that's just a sad feature of reality. I guess we're just going to have to adapt and just all change and just go for gotcha moments every time. That's what we're going to have to do. That's what we'll do. And last super chat here. AP is proof of evolution. He evolved from an otter man to a cat human, an obviously higher life form.
Yep, and soon I'm going to become a human.
That's a good point. Yes, at his baptism, he will become a full human.
Yep.
He will no longer be a cat human. All right, guys. What are we on, AP? What are we doing? Any idea?
On Thursday, we're going to be live on my channel.
Okay, so that's the plan. Thursday live on your channel. And before that, a couple hours before that, we're going to be on Abdullah Samir's channel.
Yeah.
Okay, guys. Everyone get that? Tomorrow, I'll be live with Robert Spencer for This Week in Jihad. Should have another video up tomorrow. I had a topic, but now that Andrew Wilson's fans are coming over and harassing me, I might mess with him again. I don't know. We'll have to see what happens. Here's the thing. All you guys who harass me, it doesn't have the reaction of, oh, no, I won't talk about him anymore. It's like, oh, they want to play, eh? So anyway, should have a video up tomorrow. We'll see what topic. AP sent me a video of some Dawa guy making really stupid claims, so I might respond to that.
The Islamic dilemma thing, I think, yeah.
Wasn't that?
No, you sent me a response. He was responding to my video pointing out how dumb Lily J was in her video arguing that Muhammad is mentioned. Yeah, Lily J,
right
remember
here.
You argued that Muhammad is prophesied as the comforter in John 14, and I pointed out how insanely stupid that is. Anyway, I think the video clip you sent me, AP, is like 3 minutes long, but it was a response to that. But anyway, that was really, 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 really dumb, so I might respond to that. And then, so on Thursday, ladies and gentlemen, Abdullah Samir, Mr. and Mrs. Friendly Ex-Muslim. They're both ex-Muslims, husband and wife duo. We'll be on that channel earlier, and then we'll be on AP's channel at 8. It'll all be super cool, super dope, super fly. Christian Gadfly.
Most likely, we will be reviewing a Jay Dyer on the Stupid Twins show.
Oh, yeah. You've been wanting to do that for a little while now. Yeah. So we'll do that. Christian Gadfly, how can people follow you?
You can see my YouTube channel called Christian Gadfly. My final thoughts for this stream are just a reminder to look up Straw Dogs by John Gray. If you're an atheist and you're wondering why I, as an atheist, thought that atheists didn't have morality. And then I also would like to ask ChatGPT a question. ChatGPT, who's the gayest YouTuber of all?
Apostate Prophet is the gayest YouTuber of all time.
Talk about a gotcha moment. That should be on TikTok right there.
I knew it.
Hey, Christian Gadfly. Seriously, I know you've done the Lily J thing before, but that sort of thing where you're getting ChatGPT to say all these like ridiculous things, it just needs to be a little compilation video of doing that, because people still don't get the point of how these things can be programmed and so on. So that would be good. You as Lily J and getting ChatGPT to say all these awesome things.
Powerful.
Helpful stuff, helpful video. And then every time someone says, but Lily J has proven, we just play that little clip of you. Got that?
All right, see ya.
All right, everyone. Catch you all later. And what's this last one? You're already doing gotcha convos. That's what we do. We always do gotcha convos. All right, everyone. Catch you all next time. See you tomorrow on Robert's channel, Thursday on multiple channels. See you then.